What's up, everybody, and welcome to Mostly Focused. I am one of your hosts, Jonathan McWhorter, to my beautiful co-host, JP Payton, barely with us today, newborn woes, Zach Griffin.
Hello.
And Garrett.
Hello.
Hunt. The big mayo. Too thick for H&M, although you've lost 50 pounds.
I have, yes.
Is it Mounjaro or Ozempic?
It is treadmill.
My favorite.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. Insurance doesn't cover Ozempic. I learned that today.
What is it?
Insurance won't cover Ozempic unless it's for diabetic issues.
That seems like a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can't have all these Lizzos out here taking it all. So anyway, that's Lizzo and her Ozempic. What is the title? I don't know. This is a marriage episode. We'll have a title later. But the reason all the men are
mostly married.
Mostly marriage. No. That would be most. Oh, I see you get the joke now.
Yeah.
The reason we're all in the living room right now is because our wives are all in the kitchen, the way the Bible intended it to be.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Listen, I got jokes for days. All right. And you probably noticed there's a new little friend here. JP's terrified right now that she's going to jump down and decord everything.
Yeah, I'm not terrified of the dog. I'm terrified of the chaos in which she's already displayed.
Co-host.
Yeah, she's pretty laid back. She's 6 months old. We got her a couple days ago. Acclimated better to all the dudes being in here than I thought she would. But
yeah.
Anyway, this is Lola. We just got her. She's a sweet girl. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about marriage. Tonight, we're going to be walking you through kind of like our stories, our individual stories, how we met, kind of the early issues we faced, and then talk about the stigma of counseling, stigma of therapy, and then kind of some marital advice going forward will kind of be the loose structure of tonight. I got it all?
It's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, great. Look at that.
Look at that.
So, Garrett, I'll open it up with you before we get into the marriage stuff. What have you been doing, man? Did I make an innuendo on accident?
No, you pull up that picture again.
Oh yeah, no.
Fire alarm. For the record, I made a terrible mistake with that. I was like, oh yeah, JP edited it out. This is before Abby watches them on YouTube. I went to the podcast forum because we were driving. Not edited on the podcast.
It's not.
Garrett's now asking for serenity.
Why are you just telling me now?
I forgot. I thought you knew.
It's a good thing nobody listens to the podcast now.
Yeah, no, the YouTube's definitely the preferred forum. We get like 30, 40, 50 people now on podcasts. That
could be like one of those Patreon, like exclusive.
Yeah, no.
Here's the real story.
YouTube's where all of our people have migrated to.
That's good.
Except for your sister-in-law. We were her number one show on Spotify.
Wow.
She tagged you in it. Lindsay? Yeah, on Instagram.
I didn't even see it.
On her Spotify Wrapped, she said, here you go. This is just for you, and tagged me and you in it.
Wow.
And it was mostly focused. Was her.
She listens to it religiously.
So she knows who we were talking about.
I don't know if I talked to her about that.
Well, she knows now.
I'm sure I'll get a text after this one.
Anyway, what have you been up to?
I'm looking at my calendar to see what I've been doing. Die
by that calendar.
Dude, I'm telling you, if I don't look
to recount the things that you've done.
Well, I'm just like, what have we done?
That sounds familiar. When
Leo.
Like, that sounds right.
We've been having a lot of basketball. Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, we did.
This is exhilarating podcasting.
Yeah, this is great. Thanks, Garrett. It's almost as good as like, hey, what's your take on purity culture? Well, it's pretty. I think of purity. Pure things.
There's not a whole lot of stuff besides.
Okay, well then, how was your Thanksgiving? Stuff. Oh, hey, we can make a statement as a group. We all made the playoffs in our fantasy football.
Oh, let's go!
What?
Let's go, Mr. Commissioner Powers.
Wait, everybody but JP.
Oh wait,
number 1, number 5, number 6. I bumped you down a notch.
Why?
Because I had more points scored.
That's crazy.
So me and Slack are playing each other week 1.
We're playing each other in another league.
In the Yahoo League. I know it'll be karma for me to lose to you.
I had an 8-win streak.
Yeah, you were on a good run. So you haven't done anything besides Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no.
Most of the games you won, Jonathan fixed your roster for you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I should get partial credit for whatever he does this year.
I'd like to praise Jonathan for fixing my roster. Thank you.
That was just toes on the.
Oh, I was like, oh, here she comes. No. Here she comes. Yeah, Violet walked through that door. She's on it. They're separable.
Great.
So, yeah. Zach, what about you? I hope you've had more fun things to do besides Garrett than Garrett.
Not a whole lot of fun over
besides
here.
Garrett. Actually, other than like Thanksgiving and the holidays ramping up, I mean, that makes it busy. We've got, Christmas programs to go to. I went to one last night. It wasn't Ella's, but it was my niece's. We
like an autistic tick over
I'm
here.
stimming out over here with this pillow.
We went to a Christmas program last night. That was good for kindergartners.
Was it like The Gift?
No.
Oh.
It was just they sang some songs. And then Ella's is next week.
School.
Right.
Clark's is next week. So we've got that going on. We've got just Thanksgiving Day. I had 3 meals to go to, which was crazy. Having our families live around here has pros and cons.
Yeah.
Pros is that we don't have to travel to see them. Cons is that holidays like Thanksgiving is we're driving all over Western Kentucky.
Not as fun.
Yeah, not as fun. That's why we have the rule that Christmas Day we don't leave the house. If you want to see us, you got to come to us.
Right. I remember that because it felt like a vague threat to come visit. Like, I dare you come to my house. We'll have fun. Well, for me, obviously, new puppy life. Been busy. Been really busy with work. People like mattresses this time of year a lot.
Scared of them tariffs.
Yeah, maybe. There's a lot of
like those big purchases.
Yeah. You fart? Oh, you forgot the Chex Mix.
Ooh.
I have to go get you some.
Okay.
Anyway, so been watching a lot of movies to JP's disdain. Because next time she farts sometimes, and bro, let me tell you, it'll knock you down.
Yeah.
It's awful. I thought
puppy
I got
farts, man.
Dude, they're rough. That puppy chow, I forgot. Luna had the same thing when she's littler. Those puppy chow farts are rough. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of movies. We've taken 2 weeks off, mostly film. He needed a mental health week this week, and I needed to stay home for the puppy second night. So
best 3 movies you've watched the last few.
Frick.
Can't remember just off the top of your head.
Well, I can think of the last 3 I watched, but not the best 3. I saw Wicked.
Wow.
Wicked was really good. I lowered it a half star. Have y'all seen Wicked?
Yeah.
It's just you. I was told it was all practical effects outside of the obvious CGI, like all practical sets and stuff like that. Found out later it was like half and half.
Yeah, of course.
Not
all. Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed. So I lowered it a half star. Anyway, you really threw me off here. Since we've recorded last, Conclave was really good. Really liked that one, and Wicked and Lake George and Juror Number 2.
Juror Number 2 is.
You would be all about Lake George. That is 1000% a JP movie.
Okay.
It's a neo noir with Shea Wingham and Carrie Coon. It's great. You'd like it. Then The Piano Lesson on Netflix is pretty solid. Anyway, weird movies though. Memoir of a Snow.
Nice.
Weird movie. Did you like Flo?
Loved Flo.
Flo was cute.
You would like Flo.
Yeah, Flo was
Garrett
good.
might like Flo.
Violet liked Flo.
I kept waiting for the title screen to show up for like a video game or something.
Yeah,
it felt so dramatic, and this is a totally different podcast. What I've been doing recently,
because we haven't done mostly film in a while.
What I've been doing recently, I'd say since Thanksgiving, June hit the 4-month regression.
Oh yeah,
and boy, it has been exhausting.
She's an angel.
She is an angel.
Fallen
until until she
just kidding.
Until she says poop pains or you know she's ready to go to
butt
bed.
Whistle yet?
No, we use the windy pipe every once in a while.
That's what I call the butt whistle.
Oh, I thought you said like a butt balloon or something weird. I don't know.
I clearly said did it sound like I said butt balloon?
I don't know what you said. I wasn't
I
listening.
don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about either.
A butt whistle is what I call the windy pipe.
It's like a little tube you stick
in their butt.
To release
and
air.
The air comes out, so I call it a butt whistle.
I've never had to.
I do it every night for fun. It's recreation.
Oh, God.
Well.
Cut that.
No, we're leaving that in.
Okay.
So it's the unboof. Yeah.
You ever get a gerbil stuck in there? That's the way.
Okay. So June has been.
Our listeners are going to know very well about this, though.
Timestamp.
Yeah.
That's what that means. But no, June's been fighting a lot.
Yeah.
Fighting some demons.
I get it.
Exercising some demons, like arching on all, like whatever. I
remember those
So
days.
if I seem soulless, it's because she
Just
is
the newborn
literally
Blaze, man.
Yeah, sucking the soul out of my life like a Dementor as she screams in my ear. It's great.
Not gonna say it like I did off pod.
Nope,
Not gonna
don't.
say it like I did off pod. Leave it there. Well, that's good. So we've got what everybody's going through. That's nice. That's good. So let's talk about marriage. Let's do it.
Please.
Let's just jump in. So, you know what? Since you're tired, we'll jump in with you.
Yeah.
Tell me you and Caitlin's story. So how long have you been married? A brief synopsis of how you met and your kind of story, and go from there. Got my rosé.
Your probiotic,
prebiotic poppy raspberry rosé, non-alcoholic, very good.
So me and Caitlin's story, we met for a worship event. Actually, we were both asked to play, and
at whatever ministries.
No, it was way before that.
Almost.
And I was infatuated. Caitlin was skeptical, and we were friends for a while. I was persistent. 6 months later, we started dating. I'd say probably another 6 months after that, she went off to college, and we, dated for 2 years. And then 2 years into that, we got engaged. She had moved back from Lexington, like a year and a half before, or a half a year before. And it was okay. We had, stuff that would come up with church and stuff, but because we'd go to different churches at the time. For those that don't know, the church that we go to, Caitlin's dad is the pastor.
Yeah.
So by proxy, I'm
you're a preacher's kid, kind of
basically
honorable preacher.
Yeah.
PK in law.
Yeah.
And so anyways, we we would have stuff come up with we would have stuff come up with church and stuff, but everything else in our relationship to me felt good. We got engaged. We were engaged for we dated for 5 years.
Golly.
Yeah, we dated for 5 years.
Dang.
So she was gone for 2 in college, moved back, was here for 2 more years, basically 2.5. And then we got engaged, and we were engaged for about a year, I think. Got married. So yeah, and we've been married for now 6 years.
Oh gosh.
7.
Good luck.
Yeah, I
7, 8, 9. Those are the years where it starts to like
the dog days.
So me and you've been married about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So me and Caitlin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've known.
By God.
Wow.
Hashtag God's
Yeah,
plan.
we've had moments in our relationship where Caitlin would look at me. It was like, you've experienced most everything in my life. Her parents are divorced, and I kind of came in there towards the end of it. And so there was a lot of the down, just the highs and lows of Caitlin's life, I've kind of found myself a part of in certain ways. And so
you friend zoned yourself into marriage.
I did. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Shoot, me too, man.
Yeah. Thankfully, she doesn't mention that in any fights. It's just
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's persistence right there.
Yeah.
This is
Don't forget, JP,
right
you
here.
once used to be a friend.
So for that guy with the foot that you like, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up. You can have that.
That
foot.
wasn't the case with me and Caitlin, but
the foot.
No.
Just the one foot, the left.
But so Caitlin was very much she was very resistant in the beginning, want to be friends, and there was nothing rather appealing to me. In fact, I think there was, someone that we know. We're not really going to name any names, but it was that JP's kind of bad, bad news. You want to stay away from him. Much to my surprise,
not me.
Mustache.
Was it me?
That's what it was.
Yeah, much to my surprise.
Listen, I got to.
Oh, you did not even know me before I knew Caitlin.
No, I knew you pre-mustache. That's what I was saying. Because I got a very brief peek in to y'all's early stuff with whatever ministries.
I mean, Zach got the biggest peek.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you dated Caitlin.
I'm an OG with the JP and Caitlin story.
You're an igloo brother.
Ew.
Not an Eskimo brother.
I don't know what that means.
That means you both dated the same person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you had no mustache. You were so sweet and so innocent.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted, well, I was going to say a piece of Caitlin, but that sounds so bad. I don't mean it that way. But there were 5 dudes that were all throwing their shot at Caitlin at that time. And I was like, I hope JP wins. You won. Because you weren't dating yet.
No.
Hey, we all won. Not with Caitlin. But we all won. With our
I'm learning something tonight.
With our we all won, man. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's great.
Yeah. Definitely. I definitely
All right, I'll
won.
see y'all later.
That's your boss's daughter talking about.
You can stop that.
I'm going to go ahead and let them know ahead of time.
HR right now.
Who?
Chiquita, remember her?
Oh, yeah, okay. That's what I thought you said.
Oh, or Jay Zaro, the two of
That's a name I haven't heard in forever.
them. Yeah, thank God.
Good Lord.
Anyway,
So yeah, so we've been married for going on 6 years, have a kid, and that is kind of our story without going into great detail.
Yeah. So what did people think of you guys getting together? Like, how was
Well,
that?
I mentioned like there was, somebody early on in her circle
But
at
not
church.
Zach.
Not Zach.
He's not the jealous ex-boyfriend.
No.
Over here. Okay.
That was like, all
He's like,
JP,
why?
all JP's
Why?
trouble or whatever.
But
Yeah,
were you
just
really
being like,
trouble,
yo,
though?
I don't know.
Was it MP?
No.
Oh,
You smoked
That's what
weed
I
a
thought
couple
it was.
times?
MP. No.
okay.
No.
He's like, wait, I know.
On the off chance.
Oh, sorry. So,
Shout out.
I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even really hold it personal. I guess
You can
I-
timestamp that, by the way.
no.
he's like, it's not personal, but he really sucked.
Yeah. And he still sucks, so.
Oh, guess who I saw at the Under Oath show?
Who?
Alec Wines.
Yeah, he has a kid.
I know. So he was behind me at the merch table, and I literally turned around and bumped into him. I was like, we both looked at each other. I was like,
That's crazy.
I pointed. I said, I know you. He goes, I know you. You were that college preacher guy. I was like, huh. Yeah, whatever ministries.
Oh,
Yeah, he goes,
wow.
yeah, whatever ministries. I was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah, what's it doing now?
I was like, yeah, I'm gay. I was like, I'm just kidding.
That was not the
and I gave Slack a hug. This is my husband. But no, I was like, I knew you through JP and Caitlin. He goes, yeah. How are they?
That's
now?
crazy because I was just talking about him last Sunday.
Yeah, I meant to tell you this the other day. I forgot.
Holy cow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
And we got to talking, and Alex was like, I feel like you don't know that guy very well. I said, I don't, but it was way too awkward of a, oh, hey. And then I had to just make
Yeah,
it.
you got to play into it.
Yeah, anyway. So you overcame the obstacles. So there wasn't like any big stigma as a whole outside of like one person for y'all's relationship?
No, I don't think so. There was, I think people like whenever we met, I kind of jumped into helping around with music at Faith Center. And so like people in her life got to know me pretty well. I was just kind of like around, like, friend zone, like just kind of weeded my way in there. It's like, you ain't getting me out of here now.
Yeah.
I'm in too deep.
But
you stay put. You stay put.
And so yeah, I mean, there wasn't any like bad perception of me. I feel
Well,
like
that's good.
Caitlin,
That's my
probably
knee.
the other in the other way. Caitlin,
You can rub it harder.
this is gonna sound great for the podcast. But yeah, I mean, that was basically it for me.
Yeah. All right. So I'll share mine. Y'all know my testimony. I'm not going to rehash all of that. You can go back and listen to either Journeys from the Bible Belt from 5 years ago. When Garrett Tanner recorded it from. You just gave that Seth Rogen face again, like when you got that hot chip in your eye.
Oh, man.
Have you ever seen that video, Zach? We did a hot chip challenge, and he rubbed his eyes afterwards, and all the hot pepper got in his eyes. I look over at the videotape.
That's like Hot Stuff 101, man.
Well, I don't know how I ended up doing that, but
He was like doubled over, tears run down his eyes. And I said, you all right? He just does this identical Seth Rogen laugh. And his eyes are just like tomato blood red. It's awesome.
it was great. Yeah.
Anyway, so, I was in high school douchebag party, just terrible kind of kid. And
That would have been a great point. Great plug. Yeah.
It's going to take us an hour to get through our stories if we don't pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Abby, she was a grade below me, knew nothing about me outside of the fact that I was obviously trouble. We had like literally like maybe had 2 small hallway conversations, but really didn't know each other at all. And after I got saved in 2012, me and Tanner both dedicated our lives to each other basically, and the Lord. Like me and Tanner spent every day together for 6 months, basically praying at the church, even staying the night at the church and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, at the end of the 6 months, whoever, whoever the girl I talked to is going to be who I married. Well, Abby, out of nowhere, the day the 6 months ended, right at it, like from right in that window, whatever it was, she messaged me on Facebook, hey, you're at Disney. I'm going to Disney soon. I love Disney, something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm marrying this girl. And I get back home, we go on a couple dates, and Abby remembers, but I for sure have early onset dementia in my 30s. I can't remember anything, but I don't have meth as an excuse. Or because you always say you don't remember anything, but you said it's drugs.
I mean, it might not have been drugs. Maybe I have early onset dementia.
I was talking about you the other day to somebody and talking about the autism test that you failed. I tell that story very regularly.
Listen,
at Los Amigos.
I believe it. Maybe I believe it.
Anyway, so I like basically told her I loved her and I was going to marry her like 2 dates in, and she didn't run away somehow.
Wow, that's bold.
Yeah, so we dated for like a year, then got engaged at Disney, of course, and then we're engaged for like a year. We started dating in 2012, summer 2012, June 2012, and then got married August 2014. So just a little over 2 years dating, engaged, about a year apiece, got married. Got married real young, obviously. Spent all of our 20s together, now all of our 30s. We've been married for over 10 years. It's been a journey. I know we're not going to get into everything. It's been some of the highest highs and lowest lows. We've been married, like I said, 10 years, with 1 3-year-old, 1 miscarriage. It's been a journey, and it's been the best journey I've ever been on. I've grown so much as a person. And I've also made so many dumb mistakes that wish I didn't have to have grown through, that were like my fault. You know what I mean? They're just learning. But the initial perception of us being together was like, on Abby's, everybody's like me, like, oh, wow, God's divine plan over your life. I'm like, well, just call me ugly to my face. I mean, whatever. You know?
Just say I'm not good looking.
Yeah, just say it. And me and Tanner we were trying to get our blossoming rap career going at the same time too. So.
They were just all real relieved about the rumors about you and Tanner.
Yeah, after our little Key West test, we got saved and immediately went to Key West together by ourselves for 8 days and camped on the ocean front. So, yeah, it was great. And Tanner's air mattress died the first night, so maybe I popped.
Y'all slept on top of each other.
Maybe I popped a hole in it.
Oh,
anyway, I didn't. So everybody was very nervous for Abby, and if I remember right, this is my most nervous I'll be for an episode, because Abby always listens and politely, lovingly fact checks things. This one's going to have the most potential for fact checks and me misremembering things and the Jonathan perspective. So I'm pretty sure she had even like a youth pastor kind of like, maybe you shouldn't go for that guy. Could be wrong, but I think I remember that right. But anyway, some people were definitely like, yeah, avoid him. He's bad news. But then she had other people like, no, he's saved. He's cleaned his life up. Be with him. And I won that battle against the youth pastor. So, holy finger that guy. I just have the worst words tonight. Don't worry about it.
That's great.
All right, Zach, what's your story?
Oh, God. Well, since you've told everyone, in my life, I've only officially dated 2 people. One of them was Caitlin, who is now JP's wife. And it wasn't for very long. It was like for a summer or something. We were both like, this isn't going to work, is it?
She's admittedly said she was dating him for his family.
Your family is pretty awesome.
My family is very solid.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones had all this
I'm
cooking.
okay with that. We were both just like, I always joke that like if we had somehow stayed together, me and Caitlin would like murder each other, and then Alexa and JP would just like bury their feelings and never talk about anything.
Oh, like y'all swap spouses, yeah.
And but after that, I started dating Alexa the January of my senior year. So that was January of 2011 was when we started dating. And we met in youth group. We had been friends for several years at this point through youth group. Because I started coming to Faith Center when I was like 8th grade, freshman. So I'd known her for at least, 4+ years. And we started dating. I did have 2 people immediately go no contact with me when that happened, when I started dating her, because there was like this weird, like, I want her thing going on. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't possess Alexa.
Yeah, I know. And somehow I came out on top of that little thing. Shut up.
I can't stand his face.
I came out on top of that little thing. That's what Garrett.
I came out of that little situation dating Alexa. And so that was, like I said, January of 2011. We dated for 2 years. and got married in May of 2013. I had already moved to Murray to go to school. And so we got married in May. She moved to Murray with me. And we had the summer off to just kind of exist together.
Yeah.
Finished school. And so we've been married for 11 years now.
11. That's
11.
You're the veteran.
We were young. I was 20. She was 21. So we spent our entire 20s together. Funny story. My dad, like when I was still in high school and in youth group, he would like constantly be like, "Hey, what do you think of Alexa? Like, what do you think of Alexa?"
Mm-hmm.
Way before we started dating. And I was like, I mean, she's like, I like her, you know, she's a good friend, that kind of stuff. And he's like, no, I mean, like, I think you should date her. And I was like, Dad, chill. Like, you know, I don't know her like that, whatever. And like at one point, it was probably a year before we actually got together. My dad went up to her and was like, "Hey, like, what do you think of my son?"
Oh, God.
Like, I think that you guys would be great together. And she was dating someone else.
Bill.
I know. And she was like, Bill.
That's big Bill energy right there.
It really is. And so I like, we joke that my family literally, like, Alexa was their answered prayer for me. Oh.
Loudly.
Yeah. We don't use Alexa in our house. We use Google.
We should have recorded on December 30th.
Yeah, we should push it back. Huh?
We'll do it in 2 parts. We'll get through our marriage stories and come back on the 30th and do the next one. What question did you ask?
I don't know.
The worst part is nobody's going to hear it.
The A word. Well, they can hear Alexa.
Oh.
No, I just pulled Johnny. I go, I did it again.
Oh, man.
Anyway, Alexa was like an answered prayer for my family, for me. So, of course, my parents had no issue with us.
It's not you, Zach. I promise.
I just literally pet the dog and he just spit this freaking spit out.
My God.
I cover my mouth.
My parents had no issue. Her parents had no issue. John was, our youth pastor, our pastor at the time. So he was more than willing to like counsel with us, to sit with us, to, and eventually marry us. The first time I actually like officially met JP was at our wedding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Caitlin brought him to our wedding. You guys were like just started dating
yeah,
too.
we did. It was weird. Not for you, not to like be there with you, but yeah, it was early.
We've been married for 11 years, and we have a little girl who is 7, going on 8 in April.
So yeah, we're married 3 years. When you had her.
So she was born in 2017. So we were married for about 4 years before we had Ella.
7 for us.
Yeah.
6 for you.
And we just have the one.
2 days.
We've been through a lot of things. We've been through being married young, college again for her master's degree, having a kid, having like really hard pregnancy, the inevitable decision of like deciding to only have one kid when that wasn't the original plan.
Yeah.
Buying a house, moving into town, moving away from being directly next to my parents, all kinds of stuff. It's been great though. Like, I have no complaints. It's really been like the best part of life. So
I wish you wouldn't do that. All right, Garrett, tell me your story.
So Leslie and I, we met at a church camp called Basic in Hardin, Kentucky when we were like 14 or so. And I remember seeing Leslie across the way. It was like they had all the girls sit on one side and all the boys sit on one side.
Purity culture.
Yeah. And it's like, don't get close to each other. One of y'all get pregnant.
I mean, that's what there's a song about that. Locked eyes from across the room.
No. But I remember seeing Leslie.
You know what that is?
Yeah.
No.
I know exactly what it is. The Lonely Island
And
Boys.
I praised in the church.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I remember seeing Leslie across the way and I was like, 14-year-old Garrett was like, dang, she's so hot, and Leslie and I, like when we first met, it was with Gabe Fowler was there and like Caitlin West and Stephanie, like all those people.
Yeah.
And when Leslie and I first met, we were like best friends right off the rip. Like we could match each other's hype energy.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always been one of my favorite people. And she'll say that I've always been one of her favorite people, but I was in the friend zone, man.
That feels like a very strong Christian husband. I will say it and she will say it.
And she will say it. She will.
Or else.
You better.
Fear the rod.
Yeah. But we were really good friends, but I was always in the friend zone for, years. And
wow, what is it with all you in the friend zone? Zach not in the friend zone. That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're all in the same place now, so I guess it don't matter where we start. So
I mean, y'all aren't in the same camp as me and Zach. We got 10 plus years.
That's fine. We'll be there. But anyways, so when I was at Lifeline, I remember Leslie would talk about Jesus and stuff. And, she had a previous marriage and stuff. And I went down the path I went down, but I messaged her and I was like, hey, you ever heard this song before? I can't remember what song.
Lips of an Angel.
Yeah, by Hinder. Yeah. You ever heard
Animal by Nickelback?
Yeah. Like a Prayer by Madonna. Yeah.
I feel like that's the most Lifeline thing to say.
No kidding. But I asked her if she heard some Christian. Oh, I think it was Start Over by Flame and NF.
Yeah, that's much more original. I can only imagine or something.
We started talking and everything, and we actually hung out. And when we hung out, she was bowling with another guy that night. And
oh yeah, I know who it was.
Yeah. And so, I had to set my feelings aside because I like Leslie, but we talk about Jesus all the time. And I message her only as a friend because Leslie's been one of my friends for a long time.
That's why you can't trust dudes. Like, oh yeah, you try telling the date, oh yeah, me and Garrett, we're just friends. He messages me about Jesus. Then look who got married. That other guy did need to worry about the Jesus friend.
Well, I like to give Leslie crap because I'll tell her that night she gave me this look. And when I saw that look, I was like, oh, I'm in.
I'm in.
Lust of the flesh.
Yeah.
Wait. So I did. This is some of the stuff is I've never heard before. So you were the other guy?
I was the other guy.
Oh my gosh.
And so this other guy. Yeah.
Okay.
They were on a date. So I didn't know. I knew Leslie and we hadn't talked about like dating. We were just talking about, but we texted every day, all day long.
Yeah.
And then
it's like you do when you're locked up in Lifeline.
Yeah. Well, I was
just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's what happens when you're behind bars doing math.
When you said our first day, it's like, oh yeah, behind the prison glass. That's great.
I got to touch your finger over the glass. Yeah.
Not Penny's boat.
Yeah. Not Penny's boat. Oh gosh, man. Anyway, I'm not going to get on that. But yeah, so I went bowling with her and she told me as we were like about to go, she's like, oh yeah, I'm going to have my friend come with me. And every part of me did not want to go when she said that, but I had to set my feelings aside and I went. And I believe if I hadn't have went that day, that it would have maybe not turned out how it did. And so Leslie, she's been praying about a marriage and a godly husband and everything. And she says that the only time she ever heard God audibly speak to her was during her prayer time. And when he said my name, the next time she seen me, it was like I was a different person. She was like, Garrett? Garrett? Okay. Yeah. And she'll say that too. She better.
She'll say that.
She'll say that.
We got her story straight.
Garrett was talking to me about owning a firearm beforehand.
Oh gosh. Yeah. FBI cleared me. But anyways,
this is mostly jokes tonight.
No, they really did clear me, but
no, I know this. I'm just saying, it's just a lot of humor. Yeah, you right by the Christmas tree.
I didn't know if I told you or JP that.
Right there.
Anyway, so after she heard God audibly speak to her, my name. It's like a veil was lifted. And so we started dating officially in like January of 2019-ish when I graduated Lifeline, because I technically couldn't have a girlfriend in the program. And then in March of 2019, I asked her to marry me. And she said, yes, obviously.
She better.
But, we were only dating for like 3 months. Now, I'll also say I've known her since we were like 14. Like I know her.
Yeah.
And she knows me. And then we were married in July. And, fast forward a couple of years, we had Lorelai and, golly, my stomach's going crazy.
I hear that.
But we have she had a son from her previous marriage, Leo. So we have Lorelai and Leo, and we have our dog Simon. And
Fifth dog you've had?
That's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, got us a house in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Been there for
great time to buy a house. Let me tell
the
you.
market crashed, man.
I know. We got ours in 2019.
Same.
And my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are buying a house. And they're basically getting like, it's a nice house, but it's like literally half, like maybe 75% less of this house and paying more than we do. And I'm like,
it's crazy.
dude, I know you don't have a choice.
No.
Like, bro, I would not buy a house right now.
I live in an apartment until.
I told that story again the other day too to somebody. I said, there's someone talking about the dating pool at work today. I was like, oh, they said like if Abby died, what would you do? I said, move in with Garrett.
Yeah.
Like what? I was like, well, I need Leslie to die too. But I said, if both of our spouses died, me and Garrett have made a pact that we're just going to get an apartment together and just raise our girls with Halo and Call of Duty. And
I was telling my buddy Travis the same thing. I was like, yeah, me and Jonathan, we got a pact about that.
We've said it for years.
Yeah.
It's the thing now.
Yeah.
But,
sorry, Zach. I'm loaning it.
Yeah,
Lone
JP's
wolf
like,
in it.
I'll never see you again.
you can come see us.
I think
If Caitlin dies, JP's going AWOL. Like 100%.
Yeah.
Suicide.
Well, I mean, June would keep me sane, but
JP and I have
Easily.
a pact too.
Did you hear the joke?
I did not know.
He said, yeah, JP and I have a pact too. I was just talking about suicide.
Oh,
Pact.
yeah.
He liked that.
Yeah, that was good.
This is like 3 episodes in a row that we've got JP to cackle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be as long as 3 episodes if we keep it up.
Yeah, it's pretty
I'm
long
sorry,
so
I'm
far.
being a stickler on time tonight. So
Well, we've done a really good job.
Have we?
We're done with 1 bullet point.
Where are we at?
Good thing there's only 3.
we're just 40
Yeah.
minutes in.
It said 40 to 50 minutes.
We're
30, 40 minutes.
It actually did. But now we got to talk about the issues that's still under the first heading.
Oh,
Dog snoring.
Huh?
Dog snoring.
she growls.
that
in her
dog
sleep.
needs a CPAP.
Adjustable base, actually. I got them at this Happy Z's. Help. You don't need a CPAP machine to get an adjustable base. Opens up your airways.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I ain't got 20 grand either.
bro, you don't have to get a 20 grand. I don't have an adjustable base that costs 20 grand.
Okay.
You
Anyways.
were talking to a very niche type of audience right now.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we've told our stories, the happiness. And Garrett, since you just told yours, we'll just circle back around like a fantasy snake draft.
Okay.
Every marriage has issues. Everybody goes through their honeymoon phase and then real life hits. And we've all been married long enough to be out of a proverbial honeymoon phase.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have real world issues prior to kids and more after kids, and you got to really work on them. And one of the things I want to make a caveat here, because I don't really think there's another spot to really talk about this. So kind of like a PSA before we go into talk about like marital issues and like things you discuss and things you fight over. I was not the generation above us, at least in my upbringing. I never saw my parents fight. Well, I would occasionally, but I was so little. I just remember bits and pieces like a door slam here or an occasional raised voice there, but nothing serious, and my parents are still together. Happily married, always have been. But I didn't know how to argue healthily, and like premarital counseling told me nothing about things you're going to fight over. I always assumed it'd be money.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. Money, maybe communication. No one told me you fight about everything. And I don't mean that in like a bad way, but
Right.
money, obviously, yes, everybody's going to fight over money at some point. Friends, family, dogs, sex. Who thought you were going to fight over sex? Never in my life did I think sex would be a topic of argument. It's like, yo, bro, you get married, it's legal, baby. Pound town. And you get married, it's like, oh.
Unpound town.
That was a good one. But no, I mean, people fight about sex, and you fight about, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, whoa, I wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
In the first few years of marriage, I was just like, something's wrong. Our marriage is broken. Nobody else is going through this. But I didn't talk about it. It's like, well, no one else seems to be going through the same issues. It took me like,
it's hard not to be hyperbolic.
Yeah.
As far as like, oh my gosh, my issues are so specific that, the sky is falling, basically.
And I was very selective of who I talked to. Maybe Tanner for a while was the only person who
talked to Tanner about everything.
Well, yeah, up until a certain point, which Tanner's been my best friend since second grade.
We know,
but
we're not jealous.
Hey, did you see we got the Slack put that up the other night? He's climbing his way up the friends list.
Yeah.
He put the Nest thermostat up there and put the black faucet in the kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah. It's great. Y'all need to start
I'm
doing
not
something.
putting anything in.
I'm going to start putting some stuff around in this house. Just kidding.
Move on.
Yeah, you
leaderboard.
install something. Anyway, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Tanner. Oh, yeah. Tanner knew about some of our issues that I had, but I was still very guarded because I was like, I don't want to open up about the issues I'm having in my marriage because this is a me thing. I don't want people to like, oh, wow, Jonathan doesn't have it together. It wasn't until December, Abby knows the date, I'm sure, by heart, the day we almost got divorced and we went through like a real, like Violet was newborn, like a couple months old. And me and Abby were like coin flip away from divorcing. And that morning I had lunch with Kyle, and it was either you or Garrett. Which one of you was it?
Not me.
That morning at Mellow Mushroom after me and Abby had that fight that almost led to divorce.
I was there.
It was you. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the first day I opened up about real like intense. You worked with me, so you'd heard a little bit, but like that was the first day because Kyle
that was also when we were starting to get connected back together.
I don't think we had like really like reconnected.
We had mostly film going on then.
No, we did not.
No.
Did we not?
No.
Because that was very early when we started, like when I started working at Walgreens, and I was still like, I don't even know how to be friends with people right now. So
yeah, I had to break a couple of HIPAA laws to get Garrett a job, but I worked it out. We worked as friends right there. Anyway, that was the first day that I realized like, you know what? I'm going to lose my marriage anyway. I'm going to open up about all the things I've been dealing with for years, and not like dealing with as in like Abby's fault, but like things that we've struggled with and had arguments about, and like I've never been able to like talk about. And then talking to Garrett and Kyle that day, they were both like, oh yeah, I mean, same. I was like, what? And it was like talking about Garrett said earlier, the veil lifted off. I was like, other people go through the same stuff as me? What? So that opened up Pandora's box. I remember talking to Tanner, and Tanner's like, oh yeah. I was like, I just never wanted to talk about it. And I was like,
yeah.
Why? So now I'm like an open book. I mean, to protect the integrity of marriage, obviously there's certain things you don't
especially
talk about.
On this podcast.
Yeah.
We keep certain things.
Yeah. Just, I'm not going to dive into the nitty gritty of everything, just like general things. But, the gist of my point of this is nobody prepared me for the real world of marriage. I don't know how you do that, but I feel like the marital counseling I've got, and I've talked to a lot of other people about theirs, was very surface level, check off a box. Like, and going back to our parents, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not trying to throw shade at my family or anybody else's family, but they didn't tell me.
Yeah, you didn't know what it looked like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You didn't have it.
Now, I know that our generation's a little unique. We grew up hypersexualized, social media, everything. I know there's certain differences there, but I think that was a huge unseen block that I didn't know was there, that everybody has their stuff and it's the same stuff, different circumstances, same stuff. And it's very healthy to talk about it and get it out. Obviously, therapy's needed at some point, which we'll talk about in a minute. But anyway, I just wanted to make that caveat before we get into talking about issues, that I think that's a huge thing that people just need to know. They're like, hey, right here, right now, you're going to get married, whatever. You're going to have issues. Please talk about them with somebody you trust and love that's been there. So that's it. All right, Garrett, marital issues that you obviously, like I said, don't overshare. That's not the point.
Well, I mean, there's been, I would say the biggest thing is one, I didn't have a healthy view of a marriage, from the home life standpoint shown to me, growing up single, single mom, single child, and my mom had two marriages while she was married to my dad, but then they divorced after like 9 months after I was born. So it was probably my fault. No, I'm just kidding.
Full term, 9 months later, like, you know what?
I was like, you know what? I'm done. And she was married a couple other times and stuff like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're moving on.
Yeah, that's fine. But, she did the best she could and showed me obviously great love and everything. But from seeing her struggles, I always looked upon marriage highly. I looked upon it as like, if I get married, I want it to be something that I protect and consider sacred. And I've always been that way. Even before I knew Jesus, I thought marriage was like, when you get married, that's it. Like there's no D word. Like Leslie and I, we don't even joke with the D word or anything because we just don't, we just don't. It's
Voldemort.
Pickle?
Voldemort. Yeah. No, divorce.
I was going to say dildo, but I was just joking.
Oh yeah. I was going to say this, but I'm just kidding. I wasn't going to say that, but I did. But anyways, yeah. So, going into our marriage, Leslie and I, she had a previous marriage and a child from that previous marriage. And so, in counseling, we didn't talk about how do you navigate blended families.
Like premarital counseling?
Yeah. How do you navigate, blended families that don't get along very well, stuff like that. And so that was a huge transition, especially when it comes from, a small town of Marshall County where you grow up and everyone knows everyone in Marshall County. And so it doesn't matter if you date this person or date that person, someone is going to be upset by the fact that you date this person and all that good stuff. And so very early on, I had to learn from Leslie how to not allow, the negative comments coming just from like a selective group of people towards me, towards our marriage, towards, oh, they were only dating 3 months and now they're engaged type stuff. And so Leslie showed me how she walks through that. And, after we got over that hump, what I learned for me is that I'm not very good at communicating feelings. I never have been. And so when I would be feeling a certain type of way, Leslie had to talk to me, not as like a child, like Garrett, you little kid, but, had to just be like, so what are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? And she would pull those feelings out of me. And so Leslie and I have this really good style of communication where she can see, obviously something's wrong and we have that trust with one another. I can talk with her and she could talk with me, but I didn't know I was bad at communicating feelings until I was with someone that I truly love and want to, cherish and everything. Some other things that we struggled with, finances obviously are going to be something you struggle with. Marriage, they tell you you're going to struggle with finances. But you don't really understand the struggle with finances. Leslie and I grew up poor, so it's not like anything to be poor, but at the same time, when you got all these bills due and the money's not adding up,
it always comes at once.
Yeah,
always.
And that's how, which I will say, Leslie and I, for the years of struggling financially, especially once I started ministry and left Walgreens, left a full-time job, we're finally moving in to Harvest. And it's crazy how things, I'm not going to get into it, but, finances can
Garrett won the lottery.
Yeah. There will be signs. But
he married up.
Yeah, no kidding. But we had to deal with sicknesses when it came to Leo. Had to deal with that and walk through that together. And, it's been a really good learning process. And I love how JP made mention that Caitlin said that you've experienced like most of Caitlin's hardships of her life. And when Leslie and I look at our marriage, I've experienced and she's experienced so many victories of my life. I've experienced victories of her life, but we've also experienced, what feels like defeats and anguish and pain. And the thing is that marriage is God's gift to us to be able to experience life with another person. And I was never created to experience pain and anguish alone. I was created to have a relationship with someone who can also experience that with me and lift me up. And so, you know, we've had our issues and ups and downs, but overall, like, marriage is great and I love it, you know. And
how long have you been married again?
It'll be 6 years this year.
So how early did your issues kind of start, like consistent issues, like, oh man, this is like a pain point in our marriage? How early did those start showing up?
I would say probably within the first, I would say like year and a half, you know, once, and it was really the communication. I wasn't good at communicating. And so what I'm good at doing is I allow things to just pile up, and not like Leslie was doing anything, but I'm the type of person that if you bring me the wrong food, I'm going to eat it. And Leslie's the type of person that if you bring me the wrong food, she's going to tell you that the food's wrong.
I'm thinking about it, Walgreens, where I'd have you do like 3 or 4 things and we change it every other time and finally be like, I'm not doing it again. The cooler or the Halloween aisle.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. No.
You would take it so many times. And it wasn't purposeful, but like just always just
So you found yourself more people pleasing and like keeping the peace in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And not talking about what I struggled with and, you know.
So with those issues that were consistent pain points in your marriage and stuff like that, because you get past one pain point, there's going to be another that comes your way at some point. Did you all just tackle them together individually, or did y'all go see a pastor? Did you go to therapy?
I wouldn't say, I don't think we didn't go to therapy. And I wouldn't say that we even went and sat down. I mean, we talk with Jeff, Pastor Jeff, and we meet with him and we meet with Pastor John too, but we don't go to them with like, hey, we're struggling with this. We didn't go to them for a specific marriage reason. You know, so things that we've dealt with, we've been able to sit down and communicate with each other. Like, she's struggling with this, I'm struggling with this. And there hasn't been that monumentous thing to where it's like, we don't know if her and I together can work through this and we need someone else to intervene for us. You know, we haven't hit that point.
And preferably you won't. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think we will unless something crazy drastic happens. You know, Leslie and I have developed an ability to just like communicate with each other.
She found your secret OnlyFans page for these foot people.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Wiggly toes.
Wiggly toes.
Yeah.
Piggly Wiggly.
Oh man. R.I.P.
So last question, then I'll pin it to Zach. So now that you have 2 kids, when y'all fight inevitably in front of your kids, how do you do it in front of each other? You try to how's fighting handled in front of the family?
Well, there's very few times that like we fight, you know, but there are many times where we are
aggressively disagree.
Yeah. Where we're just like, and here's the thing, what we do with the kids is the kids are with us literally 24/7. Yeah. Like they sleep in this.
Avoiding it.
Yeah. There isn't. And so what we have to do and what we have to learn to do is because we dealt with a lot of guilt when we would argue or whatever. And, you know, Leo would be like, oh, hey, everything's fine, you know, and bless his heart because a kid just wants to not experience stuff like that. But what Leslie and I had to do is when we did argue or fight, we had to make up in front of the kids, you know, or we would make up behind the scenes and then come out and, you know, talk with them, be like, hey, you know, sometimes even as adults, we argue, we have disagreements, we, you know, get mad at each other. But mommy and daddy, we love each other very much. And just because your mom annoys the crap out of me, you know, we'll make it kind of jokey and stuff. So, you know, you're going to fight and have altercations in front of your children, but to show your children a healthy way to make up from that fight and to, you know, a healthy way of how relationships truly work, I think is, you know, way more beneficial. Now, obviously Leslie and I aren't going to like scream and yell at in front of each other. And I don't think I've ever screamed and yelled at Leslie. I've screamed and yelled around Leslie. But not like,
it's a fine line.
Yeah. Well, it's not like
you just literally look at her forehead. Leslie, shut up.
Well, yeah, it's like everything piles on top of you and it's like
the day
you're
you
a
threw
volcano.
The pink chair.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a great
My
time.
favorite video.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm remembering.
Hey, listen, that's what you gotta do sometimes.
I get it.
Just
I get it.
take
I
the
gotta
variable
yeet
out of
it.
the equation.
But yeah, when you sent it, like, what are you gonna do now? And the lady in the background going, yeet. Like, this is awesome. I love that video so much.
Zach has no
That
context,
was
so we're
before
gonna
you were
have
in
to,
Mostly Bros. I'll show you that video later. All right, Zach, same questions. But let's pinpoint one specific thing. Like, what's been the biggest thing that you and Alexa, like, what was your biggest stressor in your marriage, and when did it start
without
showing
causing another fight.
up? Yeah.
Um,
If our wives listen to any episode, it'll be this one.
Yeah. I'll start by saying that it's never been money. Alexa and I have never argued money.
Aren't you blessed?
Yeah, which I was about to say,
See, those are the comments you should avoid.
which is a blessing. We've always been same page when it comes to finances. She was very financially conscious. When we were dating, my parents taught me very well to be very financially cautious. That's what that's what I went to school for, all that kind of stuff. So we've always we've never, even if we were quote unquote struggling at a point. I mean, we were poor college students at one point. We never were like, well, you're spending too much on this or anything like that. It's never been money's never been an issue. So I am thankful for that. JP, I know you said that tongue in cheek, but it really is a blessing. A lot of our disagreements and stuff have come around and I know it's a cop-out answer, but communication to some degree. I am people pleaser to the max. JP's known me the longest. He knows that.
Yeah, as someone who knows you, the communicate, I can see it.
I am people pleaser to the max. My goal in life is for people to like me. That's what I live for. And Alexa, so we've done a bunch of studies. We actually teach our young adult group. We teach people how to communicate as part of our studies. And Alexa's very much an avoidant. She was kind of forced into adulthood a little bit early.
Mm-hmm.
And so, her natural form of communication was to repress and to push things down. Because if she let them out, then in her experience, they caused issue. And I was repressing them because I didn't want her to be mad at me. So we had to work through that.
That sounds like Leslie and I.
And so we had to work through this thing of for me, it's okay for me to be angry.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to be upset. It's okay for these things. And for her to tell me how she's feeling and not be met with judgment, not be met with, all of these different things. So we've been working through that. And I think now our communication style has, we've gotten to a point where we can actually sit and solve a problem. Of course, tensions get high, emotions, that kind of stuff. We all have trouble controlling at certain points. That was always a big thing. It's just communication. Cause like you said, no one teaches you how to argue well or how to, it's just not something that people, I don't even know if it can be taught.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because it's so subjective to a couple. The next thing has always been and it's not even causes arguments, it just causes stress, which is health. Alexa had a really, really bad, rough pregnancy and delivery, and still suffers from health issues because of that. And it's tough since I didn't have to physically go through that. It's tough when there's a new baby, I feel amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dad now, and then she's tired. She doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
She's sick. All of these things that it just causes tension. Working through that, continuing to work through that, has been fun. Parenting, you guys have bragged on my family already. My parents have been married for 37 years.
What happened to me? Oh.
No, 30, plus odd years. While Alexa's mom has had 2 divorces since we've been married. And so has her dad's been divorced since we've been married. and it's difficult on her having grown up in like a less stable.
Yeah.
Because we've been very open. She's like, it's hard for me to argue because I've seen where like the negative part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm over here, I'm like, we can argue and just like drop it because my parents argued, but they're still married. They're happy. They love each other, all these kind of things. And it's just like, there's this disconnect of like fear happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never been afraid that like we'll get divorced. That doesn't even cross my mind.
I can show you a few ways to get yourself close to there and a few things to say if you ever want to test that theory.
Okay.
I did some dumb things
because I don't have, my grandparents were all married for 50 plus years. Like it was relatively foreign to me. But how do I like lovingly handle, like, that's a legitimate fear for Alexa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how can I like make sure that I'm not causing stress? How can I make sure that I'm not making things worse? And so that's led to a lot of good, growth and progress in our relationship and our communication. Like I said, we've taught young adults how to manage relationships and communicate and that kind of thing. And so now like we're at this point where like when we argue, it's usually because I do something stupid. And it's usually about something dumb like decorating the house. Like I like this thing, she likes this other thing.
Yeah. Normally it's not some huge topic.
And like 9 times, or like I won't even say 9 times out of 10. Every time, like, after I think about it critically, I'm like, oh, she's right. I'm being stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leslie always says I'm right too.
Same. I'm never wrong.
Never.
And
Abby's flipping off camera 1, camera 2. Garrett, like, I know, no, it's not true. You're not right.
There's just things that, you just disagree about. That's just being a different person.
Yeah.
Like Garrett said, we have, hard discussions or like disagreements in front of Ella, but it's never been like screaming. It's never been yelling.
Punching.
It always
Y'all don't hit your wife?
It always
That's what I'm saying. On public, I do it the legal way. On the court square, on the steps, on Saturdays before noon.
That's right.
And it has to be backhand only.
And like Garrett said, like it always involves like making up, apologizing. I apologize to Ella. It's led to like me owning up as a father too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I apologize to Ella all the time. I'm like, Ella, you're right. I'm sorry. Like, how often does a 31-year-old apologize to a 7-year-old?
Quite often.
Quite often is the answer. And realizing like a lot of where I've gotten to, and I've told this to youth and stuff before, is like, this is my first time being 31-year-old dad, husband.
Yeah.
This is Alexa's first time being 32-year-old and a mom at this exact point in life. Like grace has to abound out, or it has to flow out, because if either of us are overly critical of what the other person's doing, then you get into this like disdain starts to build and that kind of stuff, which that's never built up in us. I've never once like I don't want to go home to Alexa. That's crazy.
Right.
Actually, our like friend group that we hang out with, it's kind of like a running joke that like no one says anything bad about Alexa because they're like, Zach's gonna like
don't make it a challenge. Garrett knows how I am with a challenge.
Like, everybody knows that Zach's Alexa's #1 fan.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what I that's what I strive for.
So with all of this, have y'all ever, I'm hearing probably not, have y'all ever had to go to a place where you had to go seek outside help or even individual like therapy, counseling for anything you're struggling with as a corporate whole or individual?
Alexa has a therapist. That partially
was that established prior to marriage though?
No.
Okay.
She has a therapist. Part of that is because she needs to unload from her job, in which she is a therapist. I've never gone to therapy. I'm sure it would benefit me. I don't want to say this and sound insensitive, but I have no idea what it feels like to be depressed. I have no idea what it feels like to like have chronic anxiety.
Same.
I don't understand.
It's awesome.
And so I told
Y'all
Alexa
just
that
vibrating
Alexa
at a
will
whole
come
different
home and
frequency over here.
she'll tell me, and number one, it makes me more empathetic. But I told her, I was like, I don't know what that feels like. And so she's like, okay, well, I think it'd probably be a good idea for me to go talk to someone who understands, who can help me. So she has a therapist, but we've never sought out like marriage counseling other than premarital counseling with John.
Yeah.
And of course, parents and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So similar.
Also, I want to add on that I am actually marrying someone for the first time.
Oh, that's exciting. Aren't you too, Garrett?
Yeah, this Saturday.
Golly. I was like, why did I sound familiar?
I have to figure out how to like get ordained or whatever.
You can go do it.
I got a while before it's done. It's not until
my uncle did it
just go online.
Yeah. Does it cost like $30?
I don't know. I'm ordained through Faith Center, so.
But I Alexa and I are planning on sitting. It's someone from our young adult group.
Mm-hmm.
No.
We're gonna sit down with this couple. We're gonna like offer them advice that we've learned, like do some premarital counseling. Hopefully, talk a little bit more about what we're talking about here.
Toys in the bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Hey, that's an important thing.
So
you never know.
Different pod.
Most
this one.
Mostly toys. Anyway,
go for it.
So I won't say communication. Although that's obviously communication. Y'all have covered
that's
that.
Always on the list.
Yeah. I think mine's kind of a twofold thing. Is both of us, and I think so scared.
Revisionist history is just like
and I'm
not
bad.
against
I
your
am
side.
so bad at it because my personality
That
is
door
always
is gonna swing open so hard. We feel
the hell you say? I am really bad at revisionist history because I don't remember things well anyway, and then I remember things wrong a lot. So it's not purposely done. I just don't remember
I
things.
think Leslie gaslights me sometimes.
Same, I swear, because I never
I'm like,
remember.
I remember it this
Caitlin
way.
accused
That's
me of
not how
gaslighting
it
the other
happened.
day. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's just being
What's
a
gaslighting?
dude. Yeah.
It's a made up
It's
word.
like when you're allowed a lighter down here and gas.
Yeah.
Gaslighting.
We have electric heat, babe.
Yeah. Good. What gaslight? Anyway, I think part of ours is rooted in selfishness, and that's right. I was very selfish. She can speak for herself, but I was a very selfish person, and I didn't realize how selfish I was until really we had Violet. That really is when it really peaked in. Because our first 7 years of marriage were, we lived like, we made way more money than we had to put out. So we kind of just did whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. It was great. And then
DINK is the term for that.
DINK?
Double income, no kids.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought that was like a wink.
Yeah. I was like,
No.
I was like,
in and out of that.
I see
In and out of that
technical term.
conversation.
It's really not technical, but there is a term for that.
Yeah. So, we just did whatever, whenever. And it was, and like, not even like a time thing, just like financially we were secure. So we didn't really have anything to fight about there. We were never really forced to have hard conversations. I mean, we would argue and stuff, but like, and maybe this is where maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember our dating being that. I mean, I remember some small tiffs, but nothing crazy. And the first part of our marriage wasn't that bad either. I don't really know when it started, but I always had a temper in high school, middle school, and then I guess it carried into marriage. Not like violent or anything like that, but I would yell. I'd slam a door. I had a real bad habit of like, you know what? I'm gonna leave. not like leave the marriage, like leave. I'd like drive away, get some space, clear my head, that kind of stuff early in marriage. And we always said we weren't going to be the people who throw the D word around, but when things got real bad, why don't we just get a divorce? It always came up. So for the first multiple years of our marriage, we planted that seed of when things get bad, you just throw the divorce word out. And then I had a tendency to be like, I'm protecting you. I'm leaving. I'm going to drive away and clear my head.
I'm protecting you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amen.
So, I would do that. And, it's just because we just didn't know how to. We're totally different people. We could not be more different, me and Abby. And with that, we fight wildly different. I am very much a fixer. And I have a tendency.
Same.
And we've almost kind of swapped roles a little bit now over the years, how we fight. I used to blow a gasket and then immediately after said it, all right, what's for supper? I love you. I'm completely moved on, forgotten what happened. And she's like, you just like ripped my heart out and thrown it away. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't even remember what I said. What? Oh, I'm sorry. And then those sorries really lost their potency after a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't know. So then I have to try to make it worse. Be like, oh, well, let me help you. Let me help you understand what I meant by that in a calm way. I try to fix it. Or if Abby's going through something, instead of like just letting her be, I'd always need to fix it, and never let her have her moments. So that was a lot of our stuff. So we just learned to, I think both of us suppress a lot of things, not talk about a lot of things. So then when we did fight, it was like 6 months worth of stuff, just kind of right there. And it was almost always rooted in something selfish on one of our parts. So that was a big obstacle to overcome. And then when we had Violet, I had 8, 9, 10 weeks, something like that, off work. Just full paid time off, which Walgreens has a great paternal package, which was awesome. You were running the store. So I didn't have to worry about that. It was great.
Was it in the middle of COVID?
Was. So I didn't have to deal with that. But
that wasn't a stressor on anybody.
Well, it actually really wasn't for us for the most part. So
I didn't care about nothing.
Y'all did a good job running the store. It was great.
Yeah.
But I'd never been home that much ever, obviously in a marriage, just home all day, every day for 8, 9 weeks, whatever it was. That was part of it. And COVID, so we couldn't just hang out with our family all the time and stuff like that either. It was very tough, and postpartum, very isolating. And what led to our divorce was, I didn't know how to approach her in this season. And I made a lot of bad decisions in how to approach. And I remember that day that I met Garrett and then for lunch, we got into a huge fight here that morning. I came back thinking I was doing the right. You know what? I'm going to go back and apologize and make things right. So I was like, I turned around halfway before it came back. No, it was the worst mistake I've ever made in my life. Dude, my temper flared off so bad. Because when you're married, you just know how to say the right things to just cut to the absolute core if you just need to expedite a fight.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to say something awful. But whatever it was said because I was walking out of that bedroom door and I had my back to her. And I don't remember to this day what she said, but I remember. No. Okay, no, I was going to say,
okay, good.
I remember I smiled like that. And I knew the moment was like, whatever I'm about to say is not going to be good. And the next thing I know, I'm on the phone with my dad. He's like, put me on speakerphone now. Y'all aren't getting a divorce. We never brought our parents into anything, but that day, immediately, both parents were called. We're getting a divorce. It was awful. Not because of that one specific moment. That was just like the boiling pot of the kettle, So I said all that.
Yeah.
To get to.
Yeah.
It was either divorce or therapy. My parents and her parents, like, y'all been together for too long. You have a baby now. Like, try to work it out. Before
you go into, did your parents have any idea that this could have been whenever they got the call, like here we go, I
don't think so because we never. That's one thing
we were genuine shock.
Yes.
So their reactions are in real time. Like, nope, we're gonna suture this.
My dad hearing the whole story, his initial reaction. Well, not hearing his initial reaction was like about what led to it. So it was partially my part, and he goes, Jonathan Lynn. He drops my middle name. It's like, oh no,
he's dropping his own name.
Yeah. So
Jonathan, me.
Yeah, dang it, this can't be my seed. But anyway. See, just sounds so bad.
Yeah, I don't like it. I didn't like it when
All
you
I
said
can
it.
think of is Smokey and the Bandit. First thing I'm going to do when I get home is punch your mama in the mouth. Because there's no way you could come from my loins. You know what I'm talking about?
vaguely.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, I want to see Smokey and the Bandit one time actually, so I need to give
So
it another
good.
go. But anyway, yeah. So our parents were both like, "Yeah, y'all need to go. Y'all owe it to your new daughter, not to yourself. Like, let's not give her a broken home out the gate. Y'all have been married for, 7 years. Let's give it a go." So we did go to counseling. So yes, selfishness, communication. I used to be, still struggle with it, but better than I used to be. Really arrogant, like bad, arrogant, bad. And, and that obviously didn't help anything. Always thought I was right and knew best. And, I'm not going to speak for what Abby's issues may or may not have been. I'm not going to do that. That's the lesson I've learned in life. Not going to do that. If the girls want to come on here and have this same conversation along with purity culture, they can have 2 back-to-back episodes. They have at it.
Yeah, they can do the next 2 episodes.
Yeah, it'd be great. So we're all going to sit here and watch.
Yeah, intensively.
Like a cuck. Anyway.
Gosh.
Timestamp.
Donald Cuck. I don't make it any better. Anyway, listen. So we go to therapy. We go see this patron saint named Jenny Disher at Progressive Wellness.
Wow, shout out.
Many crowns on that.
Many
many jewels on that crown.
She is the best. My dad, being a pastor, has sent a lot of people to people all over for his 35 years at Abundant Life, and she's been one of the most consistently good and good outcomes kind of. So we started going to Jenny, and let me tell you, it was frigid in that room. Not because of Jenny, like me and Abby, and it was so awkward at first. And like I had this whole thing, like, because she's a Christian counselor. She has her degrees, but she's also but instills biblical stuff in it. And I was basically like, I don't want to be preached to. I know what you're going to say biblically. I don't want to hear it. I basically wanted to be scienced and preach to Abby. If she wants it, you science me. Give me science. That was kind of my going into it, because I was like, I took all these counseling classes. It was basically my minor. Like, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to tell me. I've read it. I've diagnosed it. I can fix it at home. I don't need this. And it took me a while to put my guard down with therapy. But once I did, and we went about a year together, I think. Maybe not that long, but close, till we kind of graduated out of it. Not to say our marriage perfect. It's not perfect at all, but we know how to fight healthier. Although some therapy, I don't know, not to bury your lead, but some therapy lingo has worked its way into our arguments now. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like there's a projecting. I'd never used the word projecting in an argument before in my life till after therapy. And we would try to fight with each other and be like, no, see, now you're projecting on me. I was like, no, you're projecting, then I'm projecting. I wasn't projecting. Stop it. Stop.
Yeah.
Endless projecting.
Yeah, you should drop a contemplative in there once in a while.
We debated this at small group very long time, and half we were all still saying contemplative.
Small groups.
So
I hate life now.
Yeah, I've just gone back to contemplative life. So anyway, so yes, we went to therapy, and then we went individually. I went by myself for about 6 months a year, just me, and then after that she went for another handful of months too. Now neither one of us go now, but it was really helpful when we needed it. It arguably, Jesus, yes, but arguably saved our marriage. So big advocate of counseling. In terms of how we fight in front of Violet, we don't have knockout dragouts really anymore. My temper's not what it used to be. A. B, we did learn a lot from therapy and how to fight better. We still have a long way to go. We still know how to, needle prick each other to get under each other's skin, whatever, but it's a lot better. I think we've both gotten better at giving each other space instead of trying to immediately rush into fixing it. She has with me. Maybe I haven't, but I'll give her, like, she's done better with that with me. And I feel like we've just kind of gotten to a point where, like, not everything's a battle or something to put your,
not everything's a hill to die on.
Yes. And
that has helped me so much probably the past year, man. Especially with a toddler.
Yeah. And like, because I feel like most of our stuff now is like passive aggressive, like normal, like parenting, like 5-second arguments about
or just being
stupid.
with someone forever all the time.
Yeah. And I used to think that was like going back to what I said before we got into this, like a asymptomatic of something else, like because we bicker and we banter over stupid stuff, like, oh, that must be an underlying issue of our marriage. But it's just, you're with somebody all day, every day for 10 years. I mean, you're gonna have that, and I just wouldn't accept that for a long time, that was normal. Now, granted, we didn't do it healthy for a very long time, but anyway. So we don't try to argue in front of Violet, but I mean, it inevitably happens. We'll be in the car ride home or car, and Violet wants to listen to a song and I don't want to hear it, and I'm not playing it. I'm like, why not? I don't want to hear it again. Those kind of little arguments. We'll have those, but we don't raise our voices in front of Violet best we can, stuff like that. So, but I also don't want her to grow up thinking that we're perfect and don't ever argue either. So there's a fine line, but that's kind of to not jump into the therapy stuff. So
I think it's important for kids to see that, like, I can disagree and still love.
Yes. I agree. Yep.
My spouse.
June's not going to have that problem.
She's already got trauma.
No, not having trauma. I would say, there have been a handful of things that Caitlin and I have really like had issues about. And it's like just been in different phases in our life, and early on dating, ironically it was church, and it was just this like our own idea of what it looked like. I was heavily invested in the church that I was going to at the time. Caitlin was trying her best to kind of like come alongside me and do it with me. And she just, as y'all know, because we all go to church together, she had her own idea because, she was a part, like she willingly left a healthy church to come be with me, and all the problems that she saw that I was kind of blind and ignorant to. But anyways, we would fight about that. And, as time had went on, marriage, we would, money has kind of always been it's more of anxiety, but it's all expressed. Too, yeah, it's always expressed in the same way though, as far as like fights go. A lot of the reason why we kind of come to that conclusion was we found out in therapy, but that's a whole different story. But that, and just honestly, I think because of the way our relationship kind of happened, not that either one of us would ever like, it's not like we ever settled or anything, but it's just like we came to the point like, we are in each other's lives. Like this is a commitment and all this stuff, but there's always the idea of like, I wish we had done more with kind of like the earlier years of our lives. And Caitlin is very idealistic. So she'll have like, I want to go do this. I want to travel and do this. And I'm very much like, I want to sit on my couch. I don't want to have to worry about nothing. And, you spend a majority of your life together with someone. And if there isn't the give and take of that, if you don't have healthy dialogue in your relationship, like you can start to have your own mental tallies of like, like I haven't got to do this, but he gets to do that, or I get to do this, but
that's a slippery, slope.
That is, always something that you have to navigate, and being willing to. So, anyways, those have always been the things that we've thought about, but they've always been expressed in the same way of like Caitlin is, super stressed out, and I'm otherwise oblivious to it. So she
Same.
expresses it in a way
Leslie's
that catches.
always stressed out, and I'm just like chilling.
So she expresses it in a way that
this new puppy is like stressful time.
And this it's weird because it just sounds like four guys that are complaining about their wives, which is not the case. No,
but Leslie would tell you she's stressed out all the time.
Yeah. Same. Yeah,
and so Caitlin would express it in a way that would catch my attention, which would then cause me to react. which wasn't always in the healthy way.
You're broaching this.
Yeah. Which wasn't always in the healthy way. Earlier on, it was met with a lot of tears from on my side, and Caitlin was like,
your
Quit
guy,
crying, you
why-
pansy.
Yes. Like, why are you crying about this?
Yeah, I'm not. I am a crier.
And listen, I didn't know as an emotional person. I didn't know what conflict looked like until I met Caitlin. Caitlin's a very, I'm dead serious.
Conflict Caitlin. I'm gonna start calling her that.
CC's, yeah.
And and
Just
that's
kidding.
not because Caitlin was a confrontational person. If that was the case, it's just like, I had a very, like Zach, for people pleaser, or Zach and Garrett, like we be pleasing people.
Mhm.
We be pleasers.
We be pleasing, and I almost to the point of like trauma bonding with
Yeah.
Caitlin. Like I would fix everything, and it was enabling, not that Caitlin knew that this is what she needed to do to get, but it was the only way we knew how to communicate different issues. It took a long time for us way too long to realize, like, we don't have a healthy way to dialogue all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We would end up having a conclusion, but it'd be like 2 hours, and the ups and downs and of like frustration to to emotion, like sad to calm, and a lot of it was just like Caitlin doesn't. Yeah, I'm a very much like, let's talk this out. Like, we can share opinion, like Zach said, like we can share our opinions and like disagree, but be okay. Caitlin didn't.
I'm always willing to say you're entitled to your wrong opinion in the conversation.
I was not that bold.
Yeah, that's
sir.
great.
Yeah. I would never be so bold.
Clip that, chat.
Me neither. I haven't said that. I don't want that.
Write that
He's
down,
never
write
said
that
that
down.
to me. I have not said that.
Yeah.
Write that down.
But I will say, I feel more confident in mine and Caitlin's like ability to like navigate different issues.
Yeah.
Not to say that we don't have like a lot of some issues I mentioned, like we still have those. We still struggle with our ideas of what money should look like for our marriage, or job situations, or our own ideas of church in our lives as a family.
That was a very big
nuanced.
contentious point
Yeah,
for us at one point.
It's a
too.
very nuanced conversation, and we'll always kind of struggle with that as far as like how we talk about it. And that's good. Like we've grown from it. So,
and to be clear, you touch it. Y'all did go to therapy.
Yeah. So I hit a very low point as far as like my own life, and it was very dark. And Caitlin, I think for the first time, unprompted by her, was faced with my emotions.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what to do with this. So we started going to the Saint Jenny.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we went together starting out because we thought that, it'd be beneficial. Come to find out, Caitlin was like, I'm going because JP needs to go. I'm here for support. And Jenny very quickly was like, well, since you don't want anything out of this right now, why don't I just meet with JP?
Yeah.
And I started meeting with her, and it was just recently Caitlin started going. So we rotate, and Caitlin has been, she's been getting a lot out of it, and it's been really useful because we hit a point to where, like you said, the dialogue and stuff was like, I'm learning stuff. I don't know how to communicate it with you.
Yeah.
It's almost like a safe word of like, hey, let's get on the same vibe here.
Yeah. The homework you get sent home was like a source. I'd never have anxiety or stress.
Yeah.
But when she gave us homework, I was like,
see that? Yeah. Caitlin's old.
Danny DeVito from, I don't want that. Did you not go see Jenny briefly?
Yeah.
Okay. You said no therapy earlier.
Well, Leslie and I didn't go.
You. I said,
You've gone to therapy though.
Oh,
You
yeah.
talk about your relationship in therapy though.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we talked really when I went to
it's
therapy
about
was,
me at Walgreens.
yeah, it was about like, well,
I will
Not
You don't have to
marriage.
open up. I was just
Yeah,
saying, but
yeah.
you did go to therapy, and, as
and
an
I will
adult.
say,
yeah,
Yeah.
I will say before we went to therapy,
I loved it.
we've had
Jenny's awesome.
like individually, we've had different people pour into our lives, like in a way that was beneficial to our relationship. People that were older than us, people that, I just in our own lives. I think you two, like Zach and John, like Garrett, we met each other later in life,
Yeah.
and so I'd open up if I needed to you. I know that now.
Yeah, that's why you
But-
sit on that end of the couch, you freaking loser.
Yeah. But there's been other people in my life that have been there, obviously, and I had great premarital counseling. Richie
I don't know
Clinton,
why in my head I thought you were about to say
great premarital sex.
I did. 'Cause I was like, what? But that's where I thought
Did
you were
not.
about to
We
say.
Did
covered
not.
this.
I'm not
Contradicting.
It's a contradiction right
Clip
there.
that.
No,
Yeah.
see, Richie Clinton did our premarital counseling because obviously our pastor, aka my father, soon to be father-in-law,
Yeah.
was not going to do it.
Yeah, no.
And Richie was
Conflict of
Richie was
interest.
very, very open with us.
Yeah.
It was good.
How-to videos and everything.
No.
It's great.
So yeah, we haven't. So to answer the question that I'm sure you're about to, we have not.
Yes.
We've talked about how we want to handle like arguments in front of June. There in the house that we live in right now, there's no avoiding it. That's part of the frustration.
Yeah, I
Our
get
house
that.
is like the size of this living room.
That's how
and
our
so there's
last
no
house was
avoiding.
too.
But we jokingly, we've got a friend whose name's Sam. Zach knows him. There was one time we were driving somewhere. He was in the back seat, and we were driving. Me and Caitlin were like having this back and forth. And I finally turned, like, Sam, I know it sounds like it, but we're not arguing right now. We're just talking. We're good. And so like,
And
just the
if you ask him
dialogue.
about it, he's like, "Mom and Dad were arguing."
Yeah. Have you ever been on one of those trips with us? Me and Abby do that. Gosh, poor Ben Gingrich. I know he has multiple times on the way back from Nashville. Me and Abby just freak out. We're like, so sorry, Ben, about that. It's okay.
It's fine.
Alexa and I have had disagreements in front of like JP and Caitlin before. Just small stuff, like that night when my parents' house caught on fire.
I mean, that
And
was
I was like,
that was a casual, like that was not casualty, a tragedy.
I know.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
we
that
can't.
sounds like a legit issue.
Well, Alexa was like, we need to go, and I was like, because Ella was over there.
Ella's in the house.
And they were
Ella's in the
like,
house. That's fine. We'll go
Ella's
later.
fine. Like, she's at Devin and Lakin's. Like, everything's fine. And I'm like, okay, well, let's, like, we don't want to freak out. Let's just stay here. And she's like, no, we're going home. We're going to get her. And we just kind of had this back and forth. And finally, we're like, okay, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't really an argument. It was more of just like talking it out in front of other people. I don't think anything uncivil was said or done, but so
Jumping into the kind of talking about therapy for all those who have gone. I need to make one little intermission comment real quick. I've had like really itchy butthole the last week or so. I'm serious.
Like,
Like,
so you're just resisting the urge right now.
no.
Okay,
I'm not
good.
saying how
I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna
fix
say,
it.
like, he's gonna have to like scratch right there.
Just lift my legs up. Garrett, get in there for me. Dude, we used to play Death Star at Walgreens. Me and Garrett did. I called it Death Star. I'm not sure what Garrett
I
called
have
it.
no context
But
for
we would
this
just
game.
come up behind each other and try to get as close to the hole as we could.
Oh, Death Star.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I got Garrett good sometimes. I think he has a
Oh,
looser
man.
death than I do. Anyway, we
oh my God.
like I'm talking last week and a half's been rough. Like out of nowhere. Like this is important because I'm going to teach you guys something at the same age that y'all need to know. So long story short, I got some wipes, like a baby wipes for adults, not like hemorrhoid wipes, baby wipes. That helped a little bit.
Bro, you just now starting to use wet wipes?
Yeah, I've been using toilet paper like a man.
I mean,
Is everybody else here using wet wipes?
it is almost 2025.
I
Dude,
mean,
yeah.
Do you use wet wipes?
I use toilet paper and then wet wipes to.
See, I'm a hybrid
Oh,
too.
no,
Yeah.
it's opposite.
I opposite
Wet
too.
wipe,
Yeah.
then
Dry, you gotta pat dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else you get moisture buildup.
You're not
and that
being
can cause
efficient
itch.
enough, man.
I'm not efficient.
No,
No.
not efficient.
Anyway,
Wow.
so I've
I
always had the
should've
rule, wipe
Googled.
till it's wiped. And the internet's like, you got fecal matter left. I'm like, no, I'll wipe till it's
You got
wiped.
fecal matter.
So I started reading the last couple of days about male Kegels or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, 2 days in, my butt itches way less. I'm not sure what the issue was. And anyway, I bring this up because men of a certain age, especially people who are exploring prostate things that you shouldn't be, you know who I'm talking to. The gay folk community. Anyway, I say
You
this
can
is
just wipe
important.
this whole section.
No, this is
JP.
important.
This is
the
the
intermission.
craziest intermission.
It is. This is
It'd be a great time for a sponsored break.
This Tuck's hemorrhoid pads. No, the reason I bring this up is because in your 30s, men are supposed to actually start 10 to 25 3-second Kegel exercises a day because it can hold off prostate cancer, fecal incontinence, and it's good for your just overall rectal prostate health. So,
What did that have
More
to do
you
with
know.
counseling?
well, I was thinking of toys and bedroom and butt stuff, and then that brought up that in my head.
Again,
and I just
what
had to-
does that have to do with marriage counseling?
Well, I'm about to tell you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
I don't.
You can timestamp that.
No, this
all
is
out.
important. That's an important
That's about
thing.
5 minutes of
We'll never get
my
back.
life. Yeah.
Well, when you have a butt itch next time, you're going to do a Kegel and you're like, Jonathan, I remember that. So you're welcome. All right. So let's talk about therapy. JP, I'll kick it to you first this time. Who suggested you two go first?
I think Caitlin, but it was
I made sure to ask this question prior.
yeah, I don't remember it. I mean, it was a very low point for me, so I don't remember. I would say Caitlin. So yeah.
Was it contentious when you brought it up the first time?
No, I mean, I was very. If it was I don't know if contentious is the right word. I think I was more apprehensive.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to confront probably reality, in a lot of things in our life, my own life more than anything.
With it being Jenny, because who us three went to, she is a Christian
Yeah.
counselor. What role did that play for you? And like, especially like with the spouse too, like, cause I told you, and I think Caitlin's probably similar to me. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be preached to.
Well,
I was afraid of that.
no, I don't think I'm thankful to have a Christian therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I need scriptural like dialogue like to it. I have faith in her like ability to, weigh whatever practice she's trying to give me with the word, and I can, but I can do that myself.
Yeah.
So anyways, I think it was good for me to know that was the situation I was in, because with the things that kind of happened in my life, a lot of it kind of has to do with church, and I don't want to have to deal with the explaining of, because a lot of sometimes the issues in my life when it comes to church, if I was to say that to an unchurched person, like there's been points where I've worked with people in the secular world, and I've talked about it with them, and they like no context. It's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense to them. So there's a little bit better understanding with it. So,
so now that, you're currently still in it.
Yeah.
So I would say it was a helpful thing and didn't put
it's been, I don't know. It's been the best thing for me.
So how about Caitlin? I know she's recently started
Caitlin's
going.
like-
How was it at first and where it is now?
Well, she had so the moment that she went, it was at a point during a fight, not a like, you need to go to therapy, but
Yeah.
I was like, look, I'm at my wit's end.
You need to go
As far as,
therapy.
like, I was like, I want us to work on whatever this issue that we're having right now, but I can't, like, I don't know what else to do. And that's like that for me, that's hard to say or do.
Yeah.
And it's not in a selfish way. I was like, I want to help you, but I can't. And you have to decide, like, what are you going to do in this? It's not up to me.
Right.
And that's a really important thing in marriage is having the accountability and understanding that even though I'm in this holy union, like it is a spiritual thing, I think, for you to be Christian, like to have a Christian marriage, like it is something very spiritual. But sometimes my issues are my issues.
Yeah.
And I can't expect Caitlin to always have the answer.
Right.
The same way that I can't have the answers for everything she's going through.
Right.
And so I suggested to her kind of just not a hands thrown up in the air of like, I don't know what else to tell you, but like sincere. And I think if I had done it any other way, she wouldn't have gone.
Right.
It was very sincere. She thankfully went, and it was like the first day, the first time she came back, she's like, I had an epiphany. She's like, I had breakthrough. I was like, okay, of course.
Yeah.
You have your first therapy breakthrough, which she did. It's been very good. And you talk about the homework and stuff that she gives. She's been in it. She's read probably 2 books every time.
Caitlin seems like the kind that would like that structure, that homework to work on kind of thing. me, that's like my worst nightmare.
But she could also do that in the sense of like, I'm gonna prove you wrong type of way.
That's true.
But she's been very receptive.
I'll show him.
So I was the one asked Abby to make sure. I apparently was the one who suggested therapy for us. Now, granted, I feel like it was very much like both of our parents were like, you fix this or else.
Or die.
Yeah, I'll kill you. Anyway, I didn't make a joke. So you're so welcome. You thought the itchy butt was bad. This would have been way worse. So I suggested we go, and we went, and like I said, it was reluctant. It did take a little bit of false start to get there, but really, 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 really helped save our marriage. My mindset going into it, though, is kind of what I touched on earlier. Try not to jump ahead, but a little bit. I was very skeptical. I just feel like I know exactly what she's going to say. I know what scripture she's going to quote me when. I know exactly how she's going to relate this to sign. And it's not that I didn't. Oh gosh, that sounds so bad. I just know how Abby's going to interpret that phrase. Not that I didn't know what she was going to say. Like nothing was like overly novel, but hearing somebody else that's not like my father or myself speak it into me, that's like an unbiased third party, made such a big difference in my life. Because they don't know me, or she didn't know me and Abby from Adam. So she's getting to hear it all from the first time. And she's like, oh, hey, Jonathan, you suck here. Abby, you suck here. Here's how we're going to fix that. And like having to hear that from somebody that doesn't know you is like, you don't know what you're talking about. But then you take it and you work on it. It's better. So my mindset going into it was very skeptical, very kind of defiant, very much I know better than you do. But I was able to work through that. The Christian counselor aspect of it was important to me, even though I didn't want to necessarily be scriptured or point everything back to the Bible, because I've heard way too many horror stories and I've seen too many horror stories of people going to a secular counselor and like one of the first things they do is like a divorce. Now maybe that's a stigma.
I think sometimes people just are wanting that validation.
Yeah, and
like there's no changing their mind.
Yeah, and a Christian counselor, especially one that's had a reputation as hers, I knew that was not going to be the last resort for Jenny, barring abuse or something like that, So I do find it helpful, especially if you're a Christian. I think a Christian counselor can be very helpful in whatever season you're in. And lastly, do I think it had a bigger strain on my relationship? No, I think it was way more helpful. Now, granted, we did weaponize some of the therapy lingo, sure. But we've since moved on some from that. But it was definitely way more of a building block. And then I got so much out of going solo to be able to unpack my own stuff, and Abby getting to go unpack her own stuff. So I never got to do the hypnotherapy thing. The
HDR?
Yes.
MDR, yeah.
MDR?
Yeah.
I never did that.
HDR is like a...
Yeah. She said we did it one time and I levitated off the couch. So...
No.
That's it.
All right.
You're done.
Zach, you don't go to therapy.
You didn't go to therapy.
I personally have not been yet.
Those questions.
Get back to us when you do.
Yeah,
That's your homework.
Alexa,
go to therapy.
Obviously very wisely decided to go on her own for multitude of different reasons, probably some that only she could answer.
Was this the first time that she went with because
She's
of
been
her
going
job?
for a while.
Okay.
No, she's been going for a while. It has been since Ella's been born.
Yeah.
And like health stuff hadn't been getting better, that kind of thing.
But you're an advocate, obviously, for therapy.
For 100%.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you were adding anything more.
actually, I don't know if there is anything else to add, so go for it. Sorry, I just cleared my throat into the mic.
Yeah, I haven't been to therapy, or Leslie and I haven't been to therapy for marital issues or anything. Just advice, with Pastor Jeff and John about mainly marriage ministry. But
I think that's important clarification as well. And I think you went so long, so it doesn't have to be. Just because you go to therapy doesn't mean is marital related.
I would say before I ever went to therapy, when it came to our relationship, I would go to John about most everything.
That's how it was with my dad, obviously, who's a counselor, as well. So, I mean.
Yeah, so I have sessions with Pastor Jeff, and he offered them to me. So one, I went to therapy with Jenny Disher, which was amazing. And those were I was having a lot of like crazy intrusive thoughts, and not just like your,
I remember that
not
season.
just your
Name is
intrusive.
Jonathan.
Yeah, it was me, Darth Vader, working it.
Yeah, well, TikTok has me convinced that I have like pure OCD.
And autism. Wow, that's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy, but therapy.
And TF.
I'm not. But anyways,
No.
I'm a huge advocate for therapy. A huge advocate for getting those things that are inside of your mind, inside of your heart, and speaking those to another person. And a lot of times when you do that, you realize that, wow, I was holding on to something so little and made it so big,
Mhm.
And then you also I walk through some like traumatic stuff that happened in my childhood and everything, with Pastor Jeff. But
Why don't you tell us about it?
yeah, yeah, I'll tell you right now.
All right.
Buckle up.
Mostly trauma. Let's go.
Yeah, but no, I love therapy, and it's made me pure. So.
Purity, it's pure.
I need that t-shirt, mostly focused. I love therapy.
I love lamb.
You're like Brick Tamlin, I'm sure. All right. Well, good. Anything else?
No, listen, we've been going to bed at like 7:30, 7:45 the past
I knew
ever
tonight.
since the daylight savings time or
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm 3 hours
Past your bedtime.
past my
I
bedtime
knew
right
tonight
now.
was going to be on one because all day today I've been full of it. I was like, oh gosh, I hope it get out of my system for tonight. Fortunately, I did not. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's still compared to early mostly focused. This is clean as a whistle. Dude, some of those early mostly focused episodes were. Oh, she's up. I was like, someone just breathed in my ear, but it was Lola. Oh, here she comes, JP. Test of fate. Come here. Come here. Come here, Lola. Up, 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 up. Dude.
So did you
paws-
buy her trained?
Yeah, she's 6 months old, potty trained. They had to rehome her though because their daughter was having like really bad health issues and they couldn't keep both of them. So
You're not
Okay.
getting rid of the kid.
Yeah.
Well, depends on the kid, I
Are
guess.
you gonna make fun of that family too?
Yeah, let me tell you. All right, so let's get to the brief biblical portion.
Thank God.
What brief biblical portion? Oh, the getting rid of the kids? No, not my kid. Goodness gracious, never. I'll choose Violet all day. Anyway, Garrett, I'll circle back to you since you were talking about how much you love therapy here.
Oh boy.
What does the Bible say about marriage? Specifically, like
You didn't warn him.
roles in marriage.
And we'll leave the caveat. We're going to keep this in
Yeah,
the
very brief.
context of like men and women, like the relation, like a monogamous relationship between us as
Oh,
Oh
four
yeah, we're talking
guys.
about like homosexuality.
Yeah.
Okay, when you
'Cause
said
we've
don't
already-
go down any
we're
rabbit
already
holes.
we're already an hour and a half
See,
into this.
I never would have thought about talking about
So,
homosexuality though. On here,
I
though.
would have thought this was like the launching pad for you. What are you doing, bro?
Biblically, you read multiple times, and I'm looking at some scriptures here that finding a wife is like one of the most beautiful things that can happen for a man. And, you've also read scripturally that living in a house with a contentious woman is awful,
Yeah.
and so like biblically, you need to find a partner that you get along with, your spouse. You need to love them, cherish them, and when you do find one, you need to protect them and guard them and hold them close. And biblically, you see that in Genesis that the two become one flesh. And so, off that foundation, you get a lot of different scriptures, but when you get married, you're not your own anymore. I'm technically Leslie's, and Leslie is technically mine, and we have
We've
become
possessive.
one
Okay.
with each other, and it's biblical to do that. The Bible tells us about submitting to one another, and everyone loves to be like, wife, you need to submit to me. I had this when I was working at Lifeline. I had this guy call, and I answered the phone. I was like, blah blah. This is Garrett, and he goes, "Oh, just who I wanted to talk to."
Put a girl on.
Put a girl on. Yeah. Dang it. Now
forget about
now it's gonna rattle around there for a couple more weeks.
Put a girl on.
It's just I'm gonna have to vocally stem it. You know, put a girl on.
Put a girl on.
But he called.
That's like an autistic tick I have. I'll be going through the day. I'll just be like talking to my dad on the phone, talking about Kentucky basketball. Put a girl on. It's like, what? Put a girl on.
Oh yeah.
I gotta send you these.
TikTok.
Oh my gosh,
It's a great
dude.
series.
It's hilarious. But anyways, I had this guy. He called Lifeline. He's like, "Oh, this is just who I wanted to talk to," and I was like, "What's up, man?" He goes, "I tell my wife she needs to submit to me. I swear." And I can hear her in the background. I ain't submitting nothing. I ain't doing this, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, you got it all wrong, you know, because the Bible tells the wives to submit to their husbands, to fall underneath their leadership and everything. But the husband is also to treat the wife as Christ loves the church, and he sacrificed everything for the church. And, you know, marriage, the Bible tells us that marriage is a sacrificial love for one another, where we put the other's needs above our own, even when it comes to like sexual satisfaction for the other partner. Like that's when it says that you're not your own, you know.
Sometimes
and
you gotta let them finish first.
That's what this book is about. by the way.
Finishing first.
No, about what he just said about like the sexual aspect of like
Mhm.
you're not
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah.
Essentially.
She falls off the couch
Yeah.
apparently all day.
And you know, the Bible tells us a lot of stuff about marriage and how
She likes you.
you know, you're to love and to cherish and to honor and to respect, and you know, that's your person, though, that's your ruby that you've been given, and you're to take care of them. And you know, there's multiple things you can find that in Ephesians 5 and
That's what I
1
was about to
Corinthians
ask, yeah.
7 and you know, Proverbs, an excellent wife who can find, she is far more precious than jewels. You know, so there's a lot of different things that you can find throughout the Bible. You can just Google the word marriage Bible verses and boom.
Anything from Song of Solomon you want to share?
Yeah, there's stuff about like deers and
Yeah.
and
Valleys and
and nooks and crannies and
yeah, that's great times. So my understanding, you summed up basically in the scripture I was gonna share that like modern day relevant. And I don't mean that like there's other things irrelevant. A lot of people take that out of context and make it like you said the guy from Lifeline kind of called it. Yeah. The biggest thing I struggle with is the spiritual leadership in the house. I have such a hard time waking up early, but I stay up late. So I feel like I should be spiritually leading my house. Like I should be setting the tone for reading the Bible. I should be setting the tone for prayer in the house. And I've never been that way.
Listen, and for me, like, well, for us, sorry, I mean,
No, you're good.
like we go through seasons of that. There's times Leslie is the prayer warrior of the house.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I may be in the word and studying, but Leslie is like, she is more spiritually gifted, prophetically gifted than I am. And so like, there's times where my word driven leadership leads the house. There's times where her prophetic prayer life leads the house, but we operate simultaneously. I submit to her gifting as she submits to my gifting.
I had somebody, I think it was actually John. He had a
Pastor
word.
John.
Pastor John. He had a word. I don't want that to get back. Bite me. I don't want that to come back and bite me. Don't just like
Yeah.
bite me.
What, John bite you?
Yeah, no. that's
Not
not
Wow.
Pastor John bite you.
I had a word that was given to us where, you know, Caitlin is someone who's extremely gifted. I've been involved in ministry, I feel like most of my life, and I know I have gifting in my own life. And
You are
have
very
felt-
gifted, JP.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
He's trying to get into that friendship where you share with him now. That was a suck up right there.
No.
No, it takes like 10
Sometimes
years.
you just need to be
I'm
told,
just
man,
kidding.
you're
It takes like
gifted.
10 years.
He used to sing.
I'm still
Have I
waiting.
told you this?
He's a great singer.
You won't relent. I'll never forget it. It's the most beautiful rendition of the song I've ever heard. And it was awesome. And I've never heard him sing since. I cried.
It's a little problematic now.
You won't relent?
Yeah. Just the
Anyway.
Edwards. Anyways,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think she's the problematic one, is she?
No.
anyways, the word was, you know, with our gifting and stuff, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for ministry and like how we go about our lives. I feel like it's instead of the conventional, the umbrella is kind of like what you always hear, like the man is the umbrella, whatever. I don't even know. And that kind of can
dislike that as
I do too.
illustration.
I've always hated
very
it.
much.
And I've always kind of had this pictured. It was like the man is like the front of the train, just like it pulls the rest of the family, like everything falls in line behind, and the direction of your family's life is led by the man's leading, which I think is true to a degree, but it was always going to be up to me. And the word that we got was, I don't remember exact word, but the visual that was just it was the leading of me leading Caitlin. So I think that's part of my calling is to be there to enable and promote her ministry, is not from the back of like pushing her forward, like being the motivating factor, or it's not in front of her to where I'm having to pull her, whether it's reluctantly or whatever. It's beside, with an arm behind her back, guiding her, like you're guiding someone through the dark. And ever since I've had that visual, I've just had we're gonna have different perspectives. And yeah, I think that has been the most empowering way for me to lead, is knowing that it's not for me to just like this ship captain in the night of a stormy, like it's way more dramatic, but it's I don't know.
That's a good visualization of marriage, of walking alongside your wife with your hand behind her back. And it reminds me, it's like, think of like how God walks with us through our lives too. It's like he's walking with us, but sometimes we need to be pushed a little bit and guided. And that hand is like representing that you're with them forever. You're going to hold them and guide them. And it was really good to be able to see that in my mind when you were saying that.
If you have that understanding, it's not going to be jarring or whatever if she does the same thing for me, which you need a lot.
Yeah. There's been seasons in my life that I would have probably abandoned my faith as a whole. I don't know if it's the preach, and not a slight to my family at all. Like they did an amazing job, like consistently faith, but I just always struggled with consistency of like my walk.
Same.
Always.
Same.
I go through the highest of high valleys where I like have like the faith conference was recently, like supernatural, as clear as basically everything but the audible voice of God.
Yeah.
Undeniable God touch of my life, and then I'll ride that high for a while, and then I come crashing down. Now my crashing down is not like it used to be, but it's just like, I just don't do anything with it for a while, but I'll be like on that mountaintop for a long time. And I've needed Abby's in those valleys. Now, granted, I'm not calling this season a valley because I'm kind of, just kind of like a bird learning to fly. I'm just kind of, and whatever. But, there's been seasons where if Abby wasn't the leader of this house, or like spiritual leader in my life, and now for Violet, I probably would have abandoned my faith at some point. Truly. I mean, you were with me some of the darkest times at Walker's. I mean, you probably thought, me and Given Dad's about to be an atheist. So
and for Leslie, man, if it wasn't for Leslie and the things that she does in the background as my wife, like taking care of the kids, making sure just on like Sundays when I have to serve, where she takes care of the kids and I can get there early and serve and do, and she'll, cook dinner occasionally while I have to study. Like if it wasn't for her gifting behind the scenes and people don't see what she does, I couldn't ever do. If it wasn't for her grit to get through school as a PA, I could have never quit my job to pursue ministry. It's like, it's a not tit for tat kind of thing, but like, it's that arm behind me that was her arm guiding me through this time as the Lord was guiding us through. And it's pretty incredible.
One of my favorite ways I've ever heard like marriage taught about is like in Genesis, you have like that word that everybody tosses around, helpmate, or like helper or whatever. The Jewish connotation of that is almost like, I don't know of a different word to use, so I'm going to use it, but I'll explain it. Antagonistic. which means like if you were to stand a board up, it's going to fall over on its own. You have to have something that leans against it. Like the word that's used is like something that pushes against.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how like I lean on Alexa a lot. Like a silly example is like I'm an ideas guy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with DISC. I'm like through the roof eye. And so I'm like, why don't we do this? Why like this? And I lean on her because she's like, Zach, that's a terrible idea. Or like on, you know, every once in a while, she's like, you know what? You're right. Like that is a good idea. Like that's God. And so it's like this push against, cause it keeps us both in check. It helps support, you know, the home. It helps support the, you know, the relationship, the family. It's not like one of us controlling the other. It's like this, I call it divine friction that exists. Because Alexa and I are opposite personalities as well.
Yeah. And
it's partially like it's needed because it's that leaning against or that pushing against that's required. Everybody thinks that you want someone that's just like you.
Oh gosh, no. I have 700 dogs be broken dead.
There's a reason that like opposites attract to some degree. It's because there's this divine, I don't want to say ideal, but divine, you know, plan of like, I have to have someone that pushes against me because it stands up. Also, one of my favorite teachings and sayings is submission doesn't even start until there's disagreement.
Yeah.
If I agree with you, I'm not submitting to you.
Yeah. That's a good point.
If I submit to Alexa, I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah.
And then the same back to me of like, I've said it before, but like marriage and Christianity as a whole is like this race to the bottom, this race to serve, to put, you know, each other above myself. And like you said, that goes from everything from like day-to-day stuff to sex, you know, putting her first. Number one, it creates this like desire to do the same, you know. I don't want to say that selfishly.
Right.
But I mean, it is true of like, I'm by elevating her, she then elevates me in a way that I need. And so you have this constant submission, even when it's painful, even when there's like that friction happening. But that friction is what keeps the house up.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that, everybody quotes that iron sharpens iron. Well, that iron sharpens iron when you beat it against each other. And there's like that friction catching. Nobody likes that part.
No.
But that's what's
but
required.
That's how you grow.
And I think that applies to marriage too.
Yeah, I had that same
I had
kind
this
of
book open. I'm not going to read anything that I had open from it. Again, I'll plug it though. It's great. That Paul and Gender. Can't recommend it enough.
Incontinent.
Probably a couple years ago, I remember coming across that Hebrew word of helpmate or helper found in Genesis. And when I read about how it was two boards that are together, you know, causing friction to cause each other to stand.
I hate the word, but I actually think it is like antagonistic.
Yeah, I mean, it almost sounds like it's against, or the way that the person, I can't even remember where I read this from or the commentary, but that's how they explained it. Was like you have someone that's against you, but that person against you is actually propelling you upward. And when I read that, I was like, wow,
makes perfect sense.
I was like, of course, you know, if you can't have two of the same magnets, they're going to repel each other, you know?
So I think the thing for me, I'm pretty much through and through pretty anti-divorce in a lot of different ways now. Talking about
that's good.
That's great.
let me clarify. Like, you know, talking about like biblical stuff like that and how what we're talking about. Like, for me, it just comes to a point like when you love somebody, everybody's like, "Oh, you you hear those words like, oh, you've changed in your marriage. Like, you're not who I fell in love with. Like, of course they're not. You know what I mean? Like, you've changed, you grow,
I heard a pastor say that I've been married. He said, I've been married for 20 years and my wife has been married to 20 different people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
That makes it even worse. Zach's just looking like, what
I'm
is
just like, okay, that's the notes. I've got them right here.
Oh, Garrett had typed a message in there, all caps. I was trying to show it to you. Gone now, and I can't say it out loud. So anyway, listen. What I was saying too is like, I just, because I don't have anything to add to the biblical anything, so I'm jumping ahead here. Because I'm totally fine with submitting to Abby, and it's a team. You're married, you're one. I get it. But talking about like in the world and what I view as marriage now, and like things may not be perfect in my marriage. There's no such thing. But one thing that's been undeniably true time and time again is how much I love her. Like at the very core of her soul and of our marriage. And I tried very hard now, especially since we almost divorced, to never forget the why behind that. Because I've heard a lot of like friends and like people, or you see it in movies like, tell me why you love me. And someone can't answer that question, or it's like very vague. Ever since we've been married, at least, I write her a letter every year on her birthday and on her anniversary. Obviously, some of it blends a little bit together. I mean, for 10 years, you're going to say some things that run over. I try to keep it fresh, but I always try to keep on the forefront of my mind that despite everything, why do I love Abby? Like, why? Not like, oh, she's beautiful, or oh, she's kind, or oh, she's a good mom. Like, those are all parts of the reasons I love her, but deeply, like, why do I love Abby? And used to, I just got so caught up in whatever the flavor of the day issue was and suppressed it. But as the older I've gotten, the longer we've been married, it's not, love isn't really a feeling after a little bit, if that makes sense. It's a choice. Mm-hmm. And once that clicked with me and I quit trying to chase that feeling, so you can make the same thing arguably spiritual too, but like
pretty much for everything. Yeah.
But, for marriage, it to me always felt like it just needed to have that feeling, that mm-hmm. that feeling. So when you get so caught up with all the negative and the fights and the anger, and then you almost go through a divorce, and it's just like, how do I move past that? And I think it was my dad who said it to me, like, you just, not novel, but like, you got to work for it. You have to work when you don't feel it. You have to, mm-hmm. It's a choice you make every day. I'm going to choose to wake up and love my wife. I'm going to choose to wake up and love my family, and practicing that right after that, and then carrying that into today has been some of the most revolutionary. Such a simple concept that people have said for years has like revolutionized my life. And like I said, things aren't perfect. We still got a lot of stuff we're going through. Always. It's always something. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. Like there's always some new season. There's always some new obstacle. There's always some storm.
Every season's a new season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to choose that, just to choose to love every day has really helped my mindset and our disagreements and stuff mm-hmm. like that. So all of this aside, that's like the most important thing to me, is never forgetting the why mm-hmm. and making that choice every day, and not fixating on a specific like feeling or memory,
Yeah. I love it's not a feeling all the time, but it's a choice. And those choices that I've made, this is me personally, that I've made to love Leslie every single day, even though I don't necessarily have that like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love feeling.
You don't get the Casey Musgraves. You give me butterfly.
Yeah. I mean, I love Leslie with all my heart, but then I have those moments, and I'll tell her, we'll be just driving and we'll have, some little funny interaction, and it's like I could almost feel my cap of love mm-hmm. increase, and I'd be like, I didn't know that I could love you more than I already did, but I do right now. Like, it's like, I feel like I level up my love, and it's like, because I choose to love her every single day, I choose to do things for her or whatever it may be, but you don't always get those like joyful butterfly feelings constantly, but you get those huge revelatory moments of, wow, like this is my person and I love her with everything inside of me.
Yeah. And what a relief it is to know that
You never have to date again.
you never have to date again.
Ever.
Yeah, bro. Like that's motivation right there. Like,
Heck
I'm
yeah.
not, I'm not trying to do that.
No.
I would be platonically married to you.
I
That's
barely
it.
dated in the first place, so you
Yeah.
know.
I don't know what I would do.
Well, neither.
Me and
Well,
Garrett can add a wing onto you if
We
you
know
need.
what we're going to do, JP. Don't worry.
If they
about
had their
it.
own pact.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Um.
The VIP to Jesus pact.
So, Garrett,
Express.
what are a couple brief takeaways that could be useful to couples at any point in the relationship, whether they're dating, engaged, newlywed, or seasoned vets? You know, you can kind of, if you want to, you can share something you've already mentioned or not. But like, what are a couple key takeaways you would want to
So
pass along?
I got 4 here. I'm not
Great.
going to expound
Of course, he does.
much on them, but the first one I would say is talk it out. When you have feelings and you have emotions that come up, you are making a commitment to this person for the rest of your life, and they are making the same commitment to you. So honor that person and respect that commitment by sharing how you feel, sharing what's on your mind and heart. And then through that transparency, that's where you see trust and confidence and relationship deepen. Have sex regularly. It can be a lot. It can be difficult with kids, but make that time. If it's after all the kids go to sleep and you're super tired, like just go and do it. You'll not be
Nike, just do it.
Nike, just do it. You won't be regretful that you spent and chose to love your wife, although you're very tired.
Mhm.
Prioritize your wife and realize that she's your best friend or your husband. If this is a wife listening,
And
that's
if you're gay.
Yeah. So prioritize
Kamala Harris. Don't.
your husbands. Prioritize your wives and understand that they are your best friend, and you want to experience and do life with your best friend, and so on. And lastly, pick your battles. Not everything has to be a hill to die on, as Jonathan was talking about earlier. There are things that I am just not going to pick up anymore, because I've not learned to live with Leslie, but Leslie's had to learn to live with me. And, I leave my shoes in the floor and she hates it, but she'll move them to the side. I swear I don't put them in the floor. I don't know how they get there in the middle of the floor, but not everything is a battle. And actually my toddler taught me that. I'm not going to fight her on every hill. Some hills I'm going to let her have because my mental health,
Like the Jurassic Park game at the mall.
yeah,
I'll let her have it.
or let them run 50 feet in front of us. They can't run faster than us,
I thought you were going to say 50 feet in front of a bus.
in front. Yeah. As they run, let them play in traffic for a little bit.
Yeah, it's good for the character.
Yeah.
Just one time. That's all they'll need.
That's
one time.
right.
They'll learn.
Just one time.
Or they
Yeah.
won't.
Pact. Lorelai and Violet have a pact.
Yeah, we'll see him again. They're Age of Innocence.
Oh Lord. But yeah, pick your battles, man. Don't just go cutthroat every single time you have a disagreement or your partner farts underneath the blankets and
Dutch oven, baby.
Then wafts it out, so it's not just sitting there seeping out the top of the head the whole time.
When it's my fart, I like it.
Yeah, everyone loves
Somebody
their
else?
own flavor.
Same thing like a shower fart. Those are the best. Anyway.
But yeah, so that's my marital points of advice there.
Mine would be, of course, we're all going to reiterate what the other people say. Would be like, if you're choosing this person to spend the rest of your life with, like, be willing, like, don't be, even though it is embarrassing and can be, like, don't be embarrassed to, this is what I'm struggling with, or like, I need this, or this, like, just be open and honest with your feelings. Also be willing to, like, be, like, introspective, to look at yourself. I don't mean in a derogatory way, but, like, look at yourself critically. Like, try to heal what, go to therapy, try to heal what's, keeping you from being the best spouse that you can be.
Mhm.
I have this thing that says if you don't heal what hurt you, you'll bleed on people that didn't cut you. I mean, that's marriage. Like,
Especially when you have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
like Alexa and I owe it to Ella to work through things so that Ella doesn't,
Yeah.
get the repercussions.
Yeah.
I also have this thing saved of like, here, I lost it. 13 conversations to have before you get married.
Mm-hmm.
Whose relationships or marriages do we look up to? What are our individual and combined goals for the future? Do we want children? These are things to think about before you get married. Do we want children? Where do we see ourselves living long term? What's our ideal lifestyle as a married couple? What's our financial goals? How do we handle stress or conflict? How healthy is our communication? What's one area of our relationship that we could improve? How well do we compromise? Do we have similar values or similar beliefs? What are our sexual needs and sexual desires? And last one, should we consider couples therapy? So that's kind of the basis that I'll be using to go forward with, helping people who want to get married. But I think all of those that's what we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
And always like strive to put your spouse above yourself.
Yep. That's like that was going to be like my number one. Yeah.
It's so like foreign to a person to put someone else above what I want.
No, I agree.
It doesn't come natural.
Mm-mm.
It's something you have to make yourself do, make yourself learn. So that'd be it.
Yeah.
It's good.
Obviously, Tim Allen, Christopher the Crank, same goes for me, double here. But for me, I think setting expectations clearly and regularly, making sure you're communicating. That's, to me, we all said it, but like that communication is so important, and we get so busy in our day-to-day lives, and I'm guilty of this still currently to this day, not finding time after Violet goes down. Cause basically, Abby stays home and works. And y'all are home, but I am not here. So I'm gone. But when I get home, I basically come straight into dad mode.
Yeah. You're catching up.
Yeah. I'm catching up on everything. We do supper, we do bath, we go down, and then we eat. We do supper with her, then we eat and we watch a show together or whatever. That's like our time. And then she's ready to go to bed and I go game or watch a movie. That's my time to unwind. But I am still guilty of this. To find time to just take even just 10 minutes, at the very least. Like, how are you? Because I am so guilty of just getting my whole career life. I mean, it's just the whole proverbial ships passing in the night is true. And sometimes I just have to take a step back and be like, you know what? At least we're sharing the same water, looking up at the same moonlight. I need to take advantage of those moments when they get there. But if you can avoid getting to the point where you're having to kind of, have a boarding party, do that. So make sure to set time aside to actually talk, communicate, be with your wife. It doesn't always even have to be sexually, just like be with your wife.
I want to interject one thing that I tell people, especially like we told JP and Caitlin when they found out they were pregnant with June, is that take advantage of times when you don't have your kid.
Yeah.
Even if nothing else, make time without your kid.
Yeah, we do that a lot. Not like in an off-putting way, but like
too many couples go years and years of not having a night with no kids. Make it happen.
Yeah. Totally agree with you on that. Which goes back to prioritizing. Spend time with them. Once you do have kids, make sure you do get away at least, I would say at least once a month at the very least, to have a good 4-hour minimum time away would be my suggestion. Also, community, super, 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 super important. None of us have touched on that yet. Obviously, we're a little community here. I've been friends with everybody for various amount of time now, including Tanner. God bless him. He's not dead, but he's not here. R.I.P.
Rest in pod.
Yeah. Community is very important, and your friendships are very important, specifically, married friends who are going on the same page of life. And I touched on it earlier. Obviously, don't open up to somebody you don't know very well, but I think being able to be open, transparent, and sharing your issues with people you trust and are friends with who are also in the same stage of life can be very cathartic and not just help you, but help the other person realize, oh, shoot, man, like I get it. I've been there. And then you can learn and grow. And, maybe you can avoid therapy if you're at a certain point and just realize, oh, shoot, that's all I needed was somebody I can talk to and trust. And, but community is important to walk through life, your challenges. We're all married. We all have issues. So being able to have that community, I think, is super important. And then third is just honesty. I used to be a convenient liar, lies of convenience. Garrett can attest to this. I told them 50 little white lies at work a day just to get through the day because it was the path of least resistance. And that bled into my whole life. I mean, since I was in middle school, just how I've been, whatever I can do to avoid, not conflict. I don't mind conflict, but path of least resistance and get my way. But I think honesty is just super important. And that sounds so stupid to have to say, but like being honest with your spouse, whether it's about needs, whether it's about like a disagreement on a need of theirs, even like, just being able to have that honesty, that transparency, that comfort in your marriage. And you have to work for that. You have to build that. It's not always comfortable. That's where you may need to go therapy to build those helpful building blocks. But those would be my big takeaways, not to double down on what everybody else has said. So
yeah, and I love therapy, man.
Yeah.
Nice. No, that was honestly going to be pretty close to what I shared in the sense of and this is probably more for like you've been married for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have found a way to navigate conflict in your relationship, just because you found a way to do that doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Right.
If you go through difficult conversations or difficult situations and you feel unfulfilled by it, or you feel anything other than uplifted and supported, it's probably not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I can give and take, with my wife on different issues in our relationship, and it be beneficial.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, oh, I lost this one. And
yeah.
It's almost like, in me doing this podcast, like my wife's pregnant, or not pregnant. She's not pregnant. No announcement. No breaking news.
Yeah. She even wants
Wow.
No, my wife is at home with a 4-month-old.
I can't wait to find this timestamp and cut it and paste it.
But yeah, she's, it's a lot for me to come here and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to make sure that I'm going out of my way to make it accommodating for her to it's not just I got a free pass, I'm good to go. No, it's going out of my way.
Yeah.
To make that easy. I think that's it for me.
Something Alexa and I have learned, I mean, we've always been good at it too, is that we each have, we need time for our own friends too. We can't spend every waking moment together.
Yeah.
That's healthy at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have to build that bond.
But I have time where I go out with JP and I go out with Cameron and Samuel and come here. And she has times where she's with Caitlin.
Absolutely.
She has times where she's with her friends.
Totally agree with that.
And that's
now, obviously
that's
there needs to be healthy boundaries because some people have bad friends.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
They want to be you need it to be fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yes.
She knows I'm not out smoking meth with JP,
Garrett's
Why you
like,
gotta look at me?
It's weird that you
You're
looked
the
at Garrett
only
and
one
said my
that
name.
I'm not out smoking meth with Garrett either.
No.
Not anymore.
I don't smoke meth.
You injected it.
Whatever. However you do.
You boofed
I
it.
literally never laid eyes on meth, so I have no idea what to look at.
to?
I know a guy.
But
The initials are GH.
it's okay to have your own
Guitar Hero.
life as well. Have your own friends.
Oh,
have
I agree. Yeah.
that kind of
I
stuff.
think that's very healthy.
So-
And obviously, little PSA for everybody. If you're in a abusive relationship, don't get out.
Get out.
Contact Garrett
Don't
Hunt
be.
at 270.
Here, I'll even plug it even further. If you go to a counselor or a therapist or a pastor and they say, well, maybe you should stick it out.
Oh yeah, no,
Leave
absolutely.
that place.
Yeah.
And get out.
There are always, to me, I think that marriages can withstand anything, can be healed. Even abuse.
Yeah,
Yes.
nothing is too far gone for
Correct.
God.
I think there's a couple
But-
things that I think are immediately at least take of distance.
Yes.
Help. That's physical abuse.
Safety. Yeah.
Always. And safety of the child and sexual abuse, obviously, as well. Those are your two biggest ones that I think that no matter what are always get out.
Get out.
I'm not saying someone can't get healed and miraculously change, but those are the two biggest ones. If you're in those positions, and we've talked about this, it's not okay. It's not normal. Get on out of there.
Don't let anyone tell you that
Now,
it is normal.
don't Lorraine Bobbitt person either, because then that's too far the other way. Okay, let's just get out and then evaluate your options later. So yeah, that's her. Yeah,
Bob.
I
Is that how you remember? Is that how you remember? Bobbit.
No, but that name, which I just heard the story and I remembered it forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has been another episode of Mostly Focused. So y'all found us on YouTube. So keep liking, subscribing, share us with a friend. Tell everybody how much you love us and how cute our feet are. Garrett's wiggling his toes. I'm wiggling my toes.
Cute Lola is.
We got a cute golden retriever out here now.
Awesome.
We got all sorts of stuff. We'll be back with you first of the year at some point. No, just crazy. 2025. If we're not under martial law by then, we'll see. And we'll go from there. But also we have a podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts at. Like, subscribe, share. And like I said, the new year, we'll have some new stuff coming to our YouTube channel and it'll be fun times.
Yep.
So, all right. Love you all. Bye.
Great.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.